All right, welcome everyone to the McHenry County Board of Health. This is the regular meeting. It is July 20th. It is now, my clock's 6:32. I apologize, I'm 2 minutes late. Number one, welcome everyone. We have some additional faces this evening. I always love to see public participation. We are a board that serves the public, and as our constituents, we are here to serve you and make sure your voices are heard. So it's always nice to see faces. Hearing that we were going to have some additional people here, I sometimes bring donuts. I brought extra donuts, so just know that they are for everyone. So please help yourself. I know it's dinner time and people get a little hangry. I'm one of those people that get hangry. So before I bite someone, let's get some sugar. Okay. One thing I'd like to do, propose reordering the agenda. Obviously there is an issue of some additional concern tonight. I think that's what most people are here for. So out of respect for everyone's time, I'd like to propose moving agenda item 9D, which is Article 7 County Amendment, to between items 5 and 6. This is on the balance to permit our EPI team to provide a presentation for us that should take about 10 minutes. I think that's most reasonable. I'd be looking for unanimous consent. Does anybody have a problem on the committee with me reordering the agenda?
No.
Okay. Seeing none, that will be the reordered agenda. We'll move 9D to right after the EPI presentation. One other note, you should note that I am technically the vice chair of this board. I'm serving as the interim chairman now, as our board president is undergoing or suffering a serious medical event, so he will be out for some time. So you'll have to put up with me learning the ropes as we go, and obviously all of our thoughts and hearts are with Joe, Mr. Joe Clark, and hope he is healing well. There's a card going around, so please provide some thoughts on there. Let's move on to public comment. Do we have the public comment? If you'd like to make public comment, there's a thing to sign in. You get 3 minutes. After public comment is over, there won't be any more public comment. Jennifer Schalmoser?
Yep, that's me.
Did I nail it?
You did.
All right.
It rarely happens.
Look at that.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Let me
Start your time.
rock a minute here. Yeah, when you're ready.
Okay, thank you. Board of Health members, good evening. My name is Jennifer Schalmoser, and I live at 2106 Concord Drive, McHenry, Illinois, 60050. I am a resident, and I am a taxpayer, and I am a registered voter here in McHenry County. As some of you may actually recall, I attended the joint committee meeting on July 8th. To say I was completely shocked and appalled by what I heard from the leadership in that room, and equally alarmed by the compliance from other board members who sat by silently that day, is an understatement. Listening to the lack of urgency, the minimizing of animal suffering, and the transparent self-interest used to defend the commercial rodeos participating in cruel criminal practices was deeply disturbing. Instead of addressing the cruelty, leadership chose to offer patronizing lectures on tail anatomy and absurd claims that animal abuse is somehow not worth prosecuting at the county level. I want to be very clear. You do not need to be a livestock farmer to know that slamming an animal to the ground by their tail for entertainment or competition is not only unethical and immoral, it is violent criminal cruelty under the Illinois Humane Care for Animals Act. Furthermore, I was incredibly frustrated by the funding discussion regarding an official presence at these venues and the claims that the county simply cannot afford the oversight or the overtime. As a taxpayer, I want my money going towards protecting these innocent animals. They did not choose to exist, and they did nothing to deserve such horrific, violent treatment. So funding animal cruelty enforcement is a core duty of this county government. To the rest of the board members, your silence during those comments was deafening. Allowing regulatory capture to dictate health policy is unacceptable, and many residents, including myself, do not want criminal animal abuse continuing in McHenry County. There are plenty of ways to have fun, celebrate culture, without exploiting, tormenting, mutilating, or crippling animals. If anyone is on the fence or has any doubt of the criminal animal cruelty that occurs at steer tailing events, your board has a video already logged for review. As a voter, I do expect you to step up, properly fund enforcement, and use your local authority to strengthen and enforce animal protection laws. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for sharing your voice. Next up will be Chris McKee.
Good evening. I'm Chris McKee, McHenry County Farm Bureau President. I'd like to first thank the Board of Health for the opportunity to participate in the committee meeting on July 8th. McHenry County Farm Bureau position has been and remains in opposition with proposals to the animal cruelty ordinance. As I said in the committee meeting, my main concern is unintended consequences are inevitable. As a matter of fact, Member Altoff's statement at the 1 hour and 38-second mark in the county of the whole meeting last week was as follows. They can feel more comfortable defending themselves against an action that may be misinterpreted. This is a consequence that can affect McHenry County 4-H and FFA members, livestock producers, and a thriving equine industry. At the July 8th meeting, we also learned that animal control could not obtain evidence to prosecute any more individuals than have already been prosecuted. No evidence to prosecute. How is this ordinance going to change that? Tonight, I encourage you to engage with the sheriff who is here. In 2025, there have been numerous individuals investigated, prosecuted, and guilty verdicts reached with existing laws in the state of Illinois. The ordinance as written is not needed. The system has worked, and the time and money that will be involved in unintended consequences and discriminatory lawsuits against the county are not needed. I ask the Board of Health to oppose these ordinance changes. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your voice. And looks like last up we have Dan Volkers.
Again, Dan Volkers, McHenry County Farm Bureau Manager. I have the opportunity to serve Chris and a variety of other members. So just want to thank you for the work you do and the opportunity to address you on this important issue. Again, my name is Dan Volkers. I serve as the manager of McHenry County Farm Bureau. I have the honor and privilege to serve 670 farm families within McHenry County. That membership has grown by 27 since we wrote to you on June 29th. That means 4 out of 5 or 80% of farmers belong to our organization. They join for many reasons, but one that always lands in the top 3 is to have a voice. You received our 6 talking points last month. They stand as written. Since then, concerns have continued to grow. We've had ever-changing exemptions thrown at us without times to take positions on those. Just today, I read language that's different for the county fair. Are we protecting the fairgrounds? Are we protecting the McHenry County Fair Show? Are we protecting the 4-H kids that are showing at the event? What are we protecting? We don't know by what's written there. We continue to have concerns about other events, equine events. We think about people trying to control animals that are much larger than they are. What does it take to stop an animal if it's charging or moving towards somebody at an event? These kids are learning how to control animals at a county fair. We don't want them to be inadvertently charged for something when they're trying to protect themselves or other people in the public. What frustrates us the most on the Farm Bureau side is the process. This should have went through committees. This should have allowed voices. I think that animal activists deserve a voice, but they shouldn't be the only voice. We should have everybody at the table in this conversation. We should have time to take positions as Farm Bureau, and we should have time to share it with our members and others. We are upset with the way the county board has handled this, and we're sorry that they placed your board in this position this evening. The McHenry County Farm Bureau is asking the county and the respective committees for a no vote on the current ordinance, on review, and any amendments to such ordinance until we have time to work with the county and respective committees mutually accepted solutions. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your voice. That concludes the public comment section of our meeting. We're going to move on to minutes approval.
I make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes for June 15, 2026.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on the table to approve the meeting minutes from the regular meeting on June 15th, 2026. We don't need a roll call. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right, minutes are approved. Moving on to item 4, employee recognition. We have, looks like 2 employees to recognize tonight. Something I always envy Joe getting to do because it's such a good thing to do. I think you said that Roland Larson is going to be. Oh my goodness. See, I'm a big failure at this. We need to do roll call. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you, Brittany. Apologize for my starting here. Let's do a roll call.
Okay. Ms. Altough? Ms. Carmen?
Here.
Ms. Hollyfield? Here. Mr. Clark? Ms. Gaffney?
Here.
Dr. Katz?
Here.
Ms. Lawson?
Here.
Dr. Hoppus?
Here.
Mr. Markison?
Here.
Ms. Ortiz?
Here.
Dr. Zurich?
Here. Okay, we still have a quorum, which is good. I did count that before I started. All right, Brittany, anything else I missed? I love that you put that.
No, we're good.
Okay, on to employee recognition. So we have 2 to recognize here. I believe you said the first one is animal control?
No, first one is environmental health.
Environmental health. Roland Larson? Am I saying this?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. We have a Roland Larson here?
I didn't think it was coming. Roland is one of our environmental health practitioners. He actually came from another county, so he wasn't, fresh starting here, which is always unusual for us. So Roland works primarily in our food program. I have to say he's one of the most congenial guys you could ever meet. He's liked by everybody. He's helpful to everybody, and he's just one of those people in our division that if anyone needs to talk about something or anything, they go right to Roland. So he's a good environmental health practitioner.
Outstanding. So this is for 5 years of service, and we so appreciate him. Is he present?
Yes.
Okay. How would you like to handle this? I don't want to shake hands with necessarily, but I'd like to thank you for your staff doing an excellent job. We'd love to see the extended time periods, obviously. Unfortunately, because Joe's not here, I am not the president of the Board of Health, so I don't feel comfortable signing this. So in lieu of,
As soon as Joe's back, we will have him sign.
Great. Okay? Round of applause for Roland. All right, moving on to number 2. Craig Kirchhoff, and this is from Animal Control.
Yes, he is, yep.
Awesome.
So
5 years as
Craig-
well.
So Craig has actually been with us a little longer than 5 years. He came to us from the Workforce Network as an intern. So he learned about our program first, and then he was interested in staying on. So he started as an ACO 1. He quickly did all of his training, did get different certifications, moved on to an ACO 2, and now he is our ACO 3. So he attended animal cruelty training with NACA, that's the National Animal Control Association. I would say it was about a year ago now, and they do one down at the University of Florida, so he attended that. And now if you ever met Craig, he's very even-keeled. He does very, very well communicating with the public, getting them to understand that we're there for education and what we need to do to meet whatever the violation is. So, and he's been there 5 years, so now he's our ACO 3. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's great. That's tremendous. Is Craig
He is
present?
not.
No.
He's
Okay.
probably watching though.
Okay. Thank you, Craig. Okay, on to item 5, program highlights. We have a presentation, I believe, from our Epi team. 5A is trends for humans potentially exposed to rabies and rabies PEP case data. We have Nathan, right?
Yes.
Welcome.
You want to sit and drive, or
Yes,
you
how
want to
can,
drive?
how can we help?
Okay.
Sit here. Thank you.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Nathan Roden. I'm an epidemiologist with the McHenry County Department of Health. And today, of course, as already said, I'm talking about the trends for humans potentially exposed to rabies and rabies PEP case data. So kind of the obvious question, what is rabies exposure? We dump it into two different buckets. So the first is rabies potential human exposure, which is the Illinois mandated reportable condition that we submit every month. And this is essentially individuals who are exposed to rabies and or any individual given rabies post-exposure prophylaxis or PEP. This is a broad category, so it can overestimate rabies exposures. And the other is true exposures to rabies, which is pretty obvious. It's people who are exposed to rabies. This is determined based off an algorithm used by our communicable disease staff, and it takes into account the animal, the scenario around a bite or a scratch, and it takes into account the risk of rabies, the animal carrying rabies, and any specific criteria. And once that's met, they are recommended to receive PEP. So in terms of data, what are we seeing? And by year over year, from 2021 to 2025, we are seeing a large increase in humans potentially exposed to rabies, and still an increase, but not as significant increase in people who are truly exposed to rabies. So there is a discrepancy, as you probably noticed. There is a larger increase, as we can see, in people who are receiving rabies PEP when it's not recommended, from 7 cases in 2021 to 73 cases in 2025, or in terms of proportions, 22.6% in 2021, and we just crested over half of our potential human exposures to rabies as getting rabies PEP when it's not recommended. There are many different potential ways this can occur. Just for one example, someone may be exposed to rabies either from a bat or another animal, and it is sent in for any sort of rabies diagnostic testing. And over the course of that testing period, someone may get anxious and go to the ED to request PEP, and sometimes they do get PEP, and it turns out that the animal was not exposed to rabies. So what is the human impact on this? Because so many people are getting it when they don't necessarily have to be getting it. So PEP is a time-consuming and expensive thing. So our treatment, the PEP series takes about 14 days to complete. It is a 4-dose series unless an individual is immunocompromised, then it's a 5-dose series. Just an important note here that there's a lot of human discomfort when it comes to the vaccine series, as it's been noted to be a very painful vaccine. And of course, after 4 doses, your arm can only take so much, right? And also rabies is expensive. It costs on about $26,000. And that's including the human rabies immune globulin, or HRIG, the rabies vaccine, as well as the ER visit. And that was reported by Dr. Connie Austin, the state public health veterinarian. Some other impacts are HRIG is highly difficult to manufacture. It is derived from donated blood plasma. And it's also there have been difficulties ordering the vaccine as reported by CDC in 2025, limiting the potential supply. There's only one place you can go and get rabies PEP, and that is the ED. So if there's a limited access to treatment, as well as for people who are getting it when they're not supposed to, it can potentially increase ED wait times. So internally, how do we track rabies? We have 3 different rabies surveillance dashboards, as an example you see there. They track things from true exposures to rabies to any sort of PEP administration errors, like wrong administration site, and other things like people who were supposed to receive PEP and never completed their PEP series. And so, what are we doing? First off, we got to target when we're going to do our interventions. As you can see by the seasonality chart, August is when we receive most of our rabies potential human exposure cases. So we typically go from June to July planning what we're going to do to kind of reduce the effect of potential rabies exposure. So the first thing we do is through the communicable disease staff, they send, when an administration error is detected, the communicable disease staff contact the managers at the ED directly to determine if it was not a clerical error. And if there was an actual administration error, educational memos are sent depicting what the error was and what protocol should have been taken, alongside educational materials, which we'll see in the next slide. The first is as you can see on the slide, it's how to administer PEP. Another way we go and help reduce the accidental administration of PEP, we go to ED staff meetings, either invited or not. Sometimes we request to go. When we go, we typically we give education based on how to do this, but as you can see in the slide, ED physicians are typically not in attendance to these meetings, and the education is primarily to the nursing staff. It's an important note here that 3 out of 5 emergency departments in McHenry County have contracted emergency department providers, making it difficult to contact and direct our education efforts to the physicians that order these PEP series for patients. Another picture on screen is kind of the algorithm that I mentioned before to determine whether someone should or should not advise to seek PEP. Of course, we send out educational materials to EDs, such as algorithms or charts for PEP dosages, and that just basically means anything based on the previous PEP history, if they've received PEP in the past, or if they're immunocompromised. And then we also send out regular memos to EDs to let them know that we are available 24/7 for consults on animal bites and rabies exposures. Despite all of these efforts that the health department is doing, we are still seeing an increase in humans potentially exposed to rabies, particularly with those who are receiving PEP when it is not recommended. It's causing a sometimes unnecessary increased usage of an expensive, time-consuming, and potentially a life-saving treatment. And those are my sources.
Very good. Any questions?
So are most people, like, do you feel like it's probably a parent or someone insisting on the medication and the doctor just saying, okay, or why do you feel like, what's the increased?
In
be
the
anxiety.
data, they can't see that unless Lindsay, you
It
have
could be anxiety. Sometimes patients are really anxious, and I think the doctor complies with it. I think it could be multifactorial.
Okay.
I understand totally how it's hard to get all the ED physicians, because you do have contract and everything. How do they get the medication? Is it in the cart in the ED? So it comes from the pharmacy. Is there a way to educate the pharmacy that they're not making it available until we're really getting someone who needs it and it's not the anxiety piece? Because I can see the doctors, I'm scared, I was bit by a bat and I'm afraid of waiting to the pharmacy, because they're the ones with the drugs.
I think that's a good idea. No, we have not pursued discussion with the pharmacy. And we were hoping in this presentation that people would come up with some other ideas.
My brother's a pharmacist, so I always think of that, that they're the ones, they got the medicine,
Right.
and you can't get it unless they put it in there.
Dr. Hoppus?
Yeah, so, no, there is a lot of overprescribing, I will say. So the EDs typically call us first, because not all the EDs see enough of it to make that decision. The pharmacists and the nurses are there to really calculate the dosage, they'll calculate the HRIG, they'll dispense it, but they're not gonna make a decision on clinical appropriateness. That's
Right.
gonna be outside of
When
their
they,
scope.
just so people know, when they call you, you mean that ID doctor?
Yeah, infectious disease
Explain who you are.
physician on call, they'll call
They don't call the
that.
board.
Dr.
Right, and
Hoppus
then-
is a physician,
Yes.
and he is an infectious disease physician.
So they will, yeah, so that's usually, and there's always somebody on call. Now, that being said, there's a lot of anxiety, because you
Yeah,
will
I
see
think
there's
it's-
one person who needs it, and 15 other people will show up in the ED in the waiting room saying that they were around this person 2 weeks ago, they, shared a pop with them, a month ago, and they still want to get it. So there's a lot of that.
And maybe the pharmacy could help in that education to,
I think it's an option.
is this person being tested? Is the test back? Was the test positive? Was it negative? Are we following the protocol for the
The hard part is
testing?
when you don't have the animal that exposed.
Yeah,
That's, when you do have it, it's a lot more cut and dry, and it's easier, but when you don't have it, then it becomes a lot harder. It was an example that I can get off the top of my head, there was, in the summertime, there was a campfire out in the barn, by a barn, and there were 10 people there, and somebody walked into the barn and bats came out. Do you give PEP or not? It's,
Yeah.
there's a lot of that nuance, and the problem is because it's a 100% fatal disease, you have to be right every single time.
And you don't want to take that chance.
That's the part of the problem.
There are medications that have to be approved by ID, so that's a possibility. And then, second of all, what are other counties doing? Have we looked into that?
It's a problem
They're probably-
across the
Okay.
state, so this isn't just isolated
It's
to
everywhere.
McHenry County. I talked at the infection prevention conference with Cook County, and they said they saw the same thing. I was like, well, what approaches had they taken? More discussion with physicians, collaboration with the hospital systems, just discussion about, I think if people know where you see rabies the most, i.e. dogs in our county are not a common source since 1964, so we don't generally advocate for that unless it's outside of the extraordinary levels of behavior, bats. But he pointed out a very nuanced situation, which is, that's a hard call. We try to highlight that it's urgent but not emergent, meaning they don't have to make a decision immediately about what to do, although you don't want someone not coming back if it is necessary.
That's
It's
part of the
complicated.
problem.
Right, so
And
they're
then-
there.
And then there's, sensationalism on the internet,
Right.
because now people know about these cases. I don't think there's any kind of outbreak of rabies. I think it's just now that we have access to information.
Member Gaffney?
So I just want to be clear, if someone presents themselves with a child or an adult that actually was bitten by a bat, they do start the PEP protocol, or are you waiting? Because if you Google anything, that's what you're talking about. It says start it immediately.
If we have the bat and can test the bat, we will test the bat before we put the child or the adult or whomever was exposed through that whole process. If the bat tests positive, obviously we initiate. If the bat tests negative, we would not advise that they go through the
But
series.
no bat, then what?
No bat, then they get
Start.
they get
Without it, okay, I just want to be clear, that's what I want to be
It
clear.
depends on the situation that occurred there. A lot of times you are out in the field and you saw bats flying overhead. That's not considered an exposure. Now, you wake up in a room, you were asleep, and there's a bat flying around, it's in a closed airspace, that's an exposure. You walk into a room, there's a child, a toddler sitting, toddler's awake, and there's a bat flying in the room, that's an exposure, even if the child has no visible marks whatsoever. So it depends with that.
I thought that was the case, thank you.
It sounds like it's up to the ER doc then to decide medical necessity.
It is, but there is an algorithm that if they meet, and as was presented, you know, if you follow the algorithm, you're gonna be pretty confident there. Now, the ER also has, a lot of times at night, there's one physician and they're seeing over 40 patients too. So there's a lot going, and then you get 12 more families show up, now you're seeing 25% more people than you otherwise had staff for within a short period of time. And you start getting into that crunch. And it's 2 o'clock in the morning, now I need to make a decision, because, you know, now you got, you know, minivans of people showing
And
up.
traumas coming in and,
Right.
and then people are, give me the,
It's not like
demanding,
the
give me
doctor's
the,
office.
it's, it's,
This is when we sent people home for their gallbladders to burst,
No.
hypothetically. No, hypothetically. Okay, anyway, thank you. Yeah, I know that when you go to the ER, there are specific, as you said, algorithms or protocols that take place based on symptomatology. It's not always correct. Sometimes people are sent home, sometimes they're not. So it sounds like in this situation, physicians tend to be more cautious.
well, and the ER doctor, they cannot know everything.
Sure.
Anything, I work in urgent care, I don't even work in the ER, but I mean, I'm telling you, it is an extremely difficult work environment because everything and anything will come in there.
Sure, I believe it,
And
yeah.
even if you knew it 2 weeks ago, you might forget at 3 in the morning when you're trying to clear the room.
Sure.
So, I mean, I don't think we should, put them under the firing squad because.
Rabies is reportable, so they do call the health department.
Yeah.
We do get calls and do talk it out with physicians about the protocol also, so that's not.
Yeah.
So
I've-
just so you
yeah.
know, like, they do call the health
But the
department.
opportunity is that you don't have to do this at 2:00 in the morning.
Right,
And
Sure.
invariably, these always happen on a Friday with a long weekend.
Sure.
When it's
And
hot and they
when
come
it's-
down from the attic and do the bed.
Invariably, that's what happens. So you do have to time these and kind of de-escalate the emotions out of it in the moment, and let's get the facts, and then, get infectious disease physician or infection prevention in. They're pretty familiar with the protocols,
Sure.
and kind of validate from there what's appropriate and not.
The information that's out there too is that you don't always know if you got bit because they have teeny tiny teeth and you don't always feel it. So then that raises the anxiety level
Yeah.
up there.
It does.
How long does it take for the county to test? That test?
We're typically gonna get the results back within a day, day and a half.
Yeah, so that's, I think, where I also think that there's lack of knowledge of knowing that if a bat is in your home, you can call the animal control and they'll come and take it. Instead of families risking, let me get this bat out of my home, and then risking themselves to more exposure. And then them not knowing if it has rabies or not. If first thing I've told people, if there's a bat in your home, correct me if I'm wrong on this, right? But I'm like, call animal control. They'll come at any time. There's a number. Call and they'll come to your home, take them. If there's pets or if there was exposure, possible exposure, they'll test. I think it's that day of like, we don't know within that day, and what if there was, and what if I die within that day, is what anxiety usually takes people to. So they end up in the ER even before they get the result.
They do.
But there's nothing that can be done to speed up that process within 24 hours.
No, but like I said, it's urgent, not emergent, so you don't have to go to the ER the second that it happened. I'm not suggesting that someone that was bit should go to the ER, but I am saying that it's not such an emergency as far as receiving PEP. So if they were truly exposed to a rabid animal, we tested it, it tested positive, we initiate the process.
And what's the percentage of them actually being bit and not just exposed?
We don't always know.
We don't know.
Right, because scratches and bites aren't always visible, per
So
what she said.
therefore, the protocol has, it's not just a casual, I think I was scratched. It's really, did you actually have physical contact with the bat and with a known bite? Or you were asleep, you woke up in the room. That's the big situation. Or someone was too inebriated to know and they woke up in the room and it's a closed space and there was a bat. That's a very specific situation that's attributed to potential rabies exposure. In an open space, say in outdoors, bats could be flying around your head, you're not going to get rabies. There are no documented cases of that.
And is it possible, I mean, I don't know if it could be in the MAR or if the patient could have a checklist. I mean, it's like when you went to the pediatrician. How old is your house? When was the last time it was painted? Checking for lead exposure. Or you get the depression screening for rabies. Why can't they give a screening? Please answer these questions. How close were you to the bat? Was it a closed environment? And that way the doctor would have all that, if that's possible.
They can.
We
There's-
have an algorithm that we could provide.
You could do something like that, that's a good idea.
I'm just writing it down right now. You're smiling and writing.
Well, there's a couple of questions, you're answering yes or no,
Yeah.
and then we're determining whether or not we're sending something over to CD based on, it's not always bats, right, there are other.
Right, yeah.
Is bats the most common?
Yes.
Bats are the most common source of rabies, yes. The
Okay,
other wild animals being a risk, and then less of a risk in our area, cats and domestic dogs.
Well, we haven't had any positives for cats or domestic dogs in our area in quite a few.
Right, that's why I said.
Yeah, and I think that education piece
Other than
on,
the dog that came up from Chicago, like, that was.
I think an education piece on like, if you are, if you have a bat in your home, like the health department is here to help you, right? Like, and they can come in, people don't know that. It's embarrassing, but I've had bat in my home twice, and I knew that first time, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this, and I Googled it, and it said, call the health department. So I called the health department. Second time it happened, I already knew what to do. When I told people that, like, oh my God, something crazy happened, a bat was in my home, I'm like, oh my God, that's happened to me. Call the health department. They will, anytime. It was 2 in the morning when we saw it.
But when you Google something, I mean, the top 2 things are gonna be pseudoscience, person.
And then
They're
when
the
you,
thing.
and you're part of the panic, because it doesn't
I think
happen
that
often.
the other part of the exposure equation though is bats can't fly off the ground. So usually if they're found on the ground, which is a lot of times where they are not hanging on your curtain, people will try to pick them up thinking they're sick or something. It's just that they might have been knocked down or something happened, but they cannot lift off and fly away. They're just stuck there. So, you know.
And they want to get it out of their
Right.
home because they have pets. But when the health department came by, animal control came by, they do have questions, like, do you have pets? Where was this seen? They came in and they caught it, and they said, where was this seen? How, you know, I called you guys immediately, okay, there was an exposure, do you want us to test? Because you had a pet, even though it wasn't close to your pet, yes, we'll call you and let you know. And I couldn't remember how long it was that they called and they said, came back negative, but I don't even that part, I don't think people know
You have
that.
your new marketing campaign right here.
We do put out information at
The
least
health
once or
department
twice a
can
year.
help you.
It usually,
Especially if there's high bat seasons, like we were saying, like the heat and the attic and all of that. I just don't think that, you think you just wanna get the bat out of your home and you're exposing yourself even more. And then, yeah, I just exposed myself, I got him out, but now I gotta go to the ER because I exposed myself. When, call the health department, lock the room where the bat was in, and then the health department, well, I mean, the animal control came within 45 minutes or so.
Next month, we'll bring some, it's a bite brochure, but it also includes that in there. So we'll bring some of those if you'd like to have those to give out to someone. We do bring them to all the farmers markets, any other event we go to, the county fair, and we also do them with the schools, give those out at the schools. So there's a variety of places that we use those forms.
This is a good conversation, and I think it's a good exchange of
I think
ideas.
they're good ideas, so thank you.
Does staff have any need for board action? Obviously, we can't take board action, but other additional insight? Does anyone else have any other questions or concerns? I think this is actually, I want to piggyback on Member Ortiz's comments there. For those from the general public who, as I exclaimed, there's more people here than normal. This is my constant refrain is marketing. Many people don't know what our health department does, and they do a lot of things for us, and this is one topic among many. So please spread the word. I know it's tough when you go looking for answers online and there's the first couple answers are not the real ones probably, but we are here to serve you and they do an excellent job. On that topic, do we have any other, you can excuse Mr. Nathan, I'm sorry, your last name. What is it?
Roden.
Roden. Mr. Roden, thank you very much. As we move on to the reformatted agenda, item 9D, I just want to remind everybody that while this topic, upcoming topic, is one near and dear to many people's hearts, this organization deals with lots of things. And after this topic is over, this meeting will continue, and you are welcome and encouraged to stay, but I understand if you won't. Please take a donut, because if I take them all home, my wife's going to be upset. Although the security guys love it when I leave it with them. We'll give just a moment here. Did you need to set up? No, okay. Okay. So item 9D is Article 7 County Amendment, which is under new and unfinished business. Just for a little bit off the top, typically, I just want to set the statement here that the Board of Health's duty is to recommend ordinance changes to the county board. We don't approve county ordinances and we can't defeat them either. So we provide recommendation, whatever that may be. So I know there's a lot of feelings, so I just want that to be out there. This topic came to us, or is coming to us from county board, is my understanding. The county board member, I think, who was most apt to bring this forward was stuck on a flight. out of town. I hate to put you on the spot, Mr. Hartman, would you mind, or would you like to be, who would like to be recognized? Scott, were you okay with that? Yes, please. And then for everyone, if you look in your packet, there's actually, that's a 2-page, it's the Althoff and Althoff-Sager animal cruelty amendments. You have the floor, sir.
Well, let's give you a little bit of background. This is an issue that McHenry County has heard about for a number of years. There's been an animal advocacy group that has made public comment over the past couple of years to the board. And McHenry County is not the only county that is looking at this issue. There are several of our neighbors and at various stages of looking at this issue. And really it gained, I think, a little bit of momentum, actually a lot of momentum. Last year as, and I think it was even referenced in the public comment by the Farm Bureau, there was an incident of animal cruelty that was prosecuted under the Illinois Humane Care for Animals Act. And our sheriff's office, our state's attorney's office were successful in gaining a prosecution through that. But the question came up as is there more tools that the county could have at its disposal to help address this issue? And I think that's really where this gained a little bit more steam. When it came up, one of our county board members, Member Brian Sager, had made some proposals on how to address this. I don't know if you know Dr. Sager. He's active in the animal community with farm show or fairgrounds, state fair, etc. So he's, this is kind of one of the areas in his lane. He made a proposal presented earlier this spring, and that gained a little bit of momentum. When it was received, it was actually went to the Planning Environment Development Committee, and I can't remember the meeting. I want to say it was the February or March meeting. That is a standing committee of the county board that looks at issues related to this. And at that time, it was really a question of, was this a zoning issue? Because a lot of these special events came under a temporary use permit, which is in our zoning ordinance. And at that committee, there was some discussion about what is our next step as a county. And really that next step typically is, well, let's send it to the attorneys and see, have them look into it. Is there a state statute for this? Is there something that the county could do? And so that really was the next step. That's the playbook. The state's attorney had conducted a review of this issue, Member Sager's proposals, and other changes that were going into the zoning ordinance, the UDO. And based on that research, they really came up with, and what they'd seen from other counties too, an approach that I'm going to call a two-pronged approach. Prong one is in the public health ordinance, which is under your review, there is the animal cruelty section. And an approach would be to include language that would tighten that down, give it more specificity than in the Humane Care for Animals Act, because that is, as I'm understanding, a pretty broad statute. It gives it more specificity, and then it makes this a local ordinance as opposed to a statute. And that gives a little bit, I think, a little bit more of a tool for the county, whether it's animal control, whether it's the sheriff's office, the state's attorney, whoever's doing the prosecution, to bring charges forward or complaints forward. So that was one approach. And then the second approach is following the same original track of the UDO amendments, providing some specific regulation against the animal sporting events and that require a temporary use permit. That is still going forward. That is, if you look at the county board's packet for tomorrow, you'll see those amendments on what we call 30-day review. Every ordinance gets put on the table for 30-day review. The public health ordinance is no different. We are actually at the end of the 30-day review tomorrow, so this is available for the county board to act on it. So this is why timing is a little bit of the essence, we'll say, as we look at these types of issues. So with that two-pronged approach, the one that generated a lot of discussion, obviously, was the amendment to the public health ordinance. And really, for specifically the reason is that it covers the four corners of the county, where the UDO, the zoning regulations, they only cover those who are requesting the temporary use permit. And if you request a temporary use permit, then you would be required to go under those rules. Other than that, they really don't apply to anybody else. And so I appreciate the Farm Bureau as a longstanding partner for McHenry County, as a representative of our agricultural community. They've had input. They talked about this at their June meeting, and they provided a lot of comment during it. They've had the seat at the table with the discussions, and certainly appreciate that input. We've had, as I mentioned, Dr. Sagar took a look at this and revised his proposal based on some of the areas that he sees and he wants to be wants to make sure are addressed within this amendment. And as it developed, and we call it evolved, the state's attorney rendered their opinion. It was a discussion, and among the other members that I talked about, we also had a lot of internal partners. Our animal control, our director of animal control, our sheriff's office, our state's attorney's office, our planning and development team, county administration. We all collaborated on if this is were to happen, what should this look like? How should this go? And there was a lot of points of suggestion and a lot of areas of input that went into this. What was originally put on the table in June, and that was by Member Althoff, put on a simple amendment to the Public Health Ordinance. And that happened at the Public Health and Community Services Committee meeting. And that's what you see online. So if you go onto the agenda, that is the amendment that's currently there. Because that is the only official amendment that has been put on the table. Now, in doing so, Member Althoff was very careful and clear to say, there's a lot more discussion that needs to be held about this. If this is going to be the county board's policy, if this is going to best serve the county board's interest, I'm paraphrasing, these aren't exact words, but this is their intent, that there's a lot of work that needed to be done, and that was clear and that was understood. And so what we have is we have an evolution over several months, and a lot of voices that went into crafting. If there is an amendment, what should it look like? How should it be addressed? So in your packet today is what we're going to call the revised amendment, the furthest evolution of that. And what is likely going to happen tomorrow is Member Althoff will make a motion to amend, in essence, her previous motion and replace it with what is in the packet. And this is, once again, the culmination of all that discussion, all that areas of input, and all the suggestions and all the thoughts and all the comment. And so it is before you because it is the public health ordinance, and you are instrumental in making those recommendations as Chair Pro Tem Margareton had indicated. I
answer to many things.
So, as
Kyle works.
The sharp-dressed gentleman over there is, so your input is important. I mean, the county board, they rely on your thoughts and suggestions to the public health ordinance. Ultimately, this is something that is going to fall onto animal control as well as our law enforcement, state's attorney to enforce. And so that's why, I want to appreciate all the time that you've committed to this, all the varying positions on this. At the end of the day, so what I anticipate happening is this amendment will be put on the table, and then the county board will further deliberate. I don't know where it's going to go. I know some that would say this isn't going far enough. I know others that said what we have already on the books through state statute is good enough, and it can go anywhere. So as I sit here today, I can't tell you what this will be, but really the intent is the county board is going to consider this and make a policy decision as to whether or not this is something that should be added to the policy. Is this something that makes a statement and say we believe that animal cruelty as described in here is not in the public's best interest, and they'll make a decision regarding that. So that's kind of where we're at as far as the synopsis. I'm not here to advocate it for it. I'm not here to defend it. I'm just here to present and say this is the public process.
I want to thank you. Scott Hartman is our county administrator, and he's serving as a tremendous messenger in this case, so I appreciate that overview. Before us now is, as you said, multiple choices, and this board may make a recommendation to the county board about however you'd like to go. That would be in the form of a motion from a member of this board. There are other choices. This could be tabled, this could be sent back to the ROP committee. I will say that personally, I prefer to follow, there's a process in place. However, as I stated at the beginning of this, it is, I feel, our duty to provide recommendation to the county board, and that vote is present tomorrow. So other than taking a motion on a vote of some language on here, anything to table or anything to move it elsewhere will not allow our voice to be heard in that regard, for or against. I take no misstating that as it is. So it is my personal opinion that we should attempt to handle this. That would be my opinion. But again, I only serve as the caretaker of this group. Next, I would probably want to get a motion to, you want to discuss it, or do you want to?
Two things. I did talk to Pam, and she explained to me exactly what you said, but with Board Member Zager, she said if he goes first, then hers is moot, that she doesn't have to do the amendment. But I'd like to hear from the state's attorney on the impact this would make for animal control, and before we open it up for discussion. Would that be possible?
So, and I would certainly ask, they're in attendance this evening, and I want to thank Lars Gary and Kevin Szyznowski who are on there. Is there anything that you can add? I guess maybe specifically the question, are you looking at, what would you like them to answer? They can't offer a legal opinion?
And specifically, I'd like to know, do we need a motion on this to provide more information, or is it okay for us to weigh into it before a motion?
Oh, that's not what I was asking.
I just want to make sure before we.
Because
it's on the agenda.
Right.
So whether we are going to look at this or not, and if, are we okay? I'm happy to have more opinion from it before we take a motion.
Sorry, what is your specific question?
My question is, my understanding historically how we've done this is when something comes up on our agenda, we get a brief overview of what the topic is.
Right.
And then if we get a motion and a second on it, before we vote on it, it comes up for full discussion, and we bring in voices, we bring in additional expertise, and then we may take a vote on it.
Okay.
That was the brief overview. I just want to make sure I'm not subverting the process.
No, you're so far so good.
Okay.
Yep.
So we can have you and the additional voices provide insight on it before we take a motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking. Can we tag it with what he's explained to what it means to the county as far as a legal prosecution standpoint, or whatever the impact it would be if that motion goes forward? What does it do? How does it help us enforce?
So maybe making it as a county ordinance that changes it, and I think Kevin, you can speak on.
I think we can speak to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't want to violate
No.
open meeting day. Okay, it helps when I have the state's attorney office here. to help me.
So your question again was?
My question is, we've had very few, 4, I think, last year, rodeos that would have included the topic that we're talking about. And my question is, if this ordinance goes through, are you in support of it from a legal standpoint? I don't know if you can opine on that. But what helps, how does it, is it your opinion that if something is put in place, it would help animal control enforce what they're trying to accomplish under the Humane Care for Animals Act on a local level to enhance what's already going on?
So I think taking the question about our position on it, we don't have a position. Generally, our office, it's, whatever the board does, whatever they choose, we will defend as vigorously as we can. This is just another tool in the toolbox. The way it's set up now, it's important to kind of understand the dynamic. You have a temporary use permit, and some animal events, right now specifically rodeos, qualify. They meet a certain threshold to have to get that permit. And then there are all the other events that don't meet that threshold, that there's kind of a gap in the system, right? So this is to recognize that, to give us another avenue to go after someone who isn't necessarily the permit holder. It's going to be somebody who's participating in the event, somebody who's organized it. And then if you think of criminal prosecutions as rungs on a ladder, this is the bottom rung of the ladder. Understanding that on a state statute level, you have felony and misdemeanor charges. Those are proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And an ordinance violation, which is a strict liability offense. So that's why we would be in favor of animal control having that is that it gives another option for both animal control and the sheriff's office to have another, and our office, another option to charge or pursue.
I apologize, would you mind introducing both of yourselves?
I should have done State's Attorney Kevin Chinowski.
And Laura Scary.
Thank you.
Van Amsterdam, thank you, that's
Okay.
Okay, it seems, you know, you wouldn't be bringing this if it's been working through the state and stopping this cruelty. You wouldn't be bringing this on and doing amendments, you'd go into different things. Okay, the other pieces that the Farm Bureau and the farmers and the 4-H'ers are probably scared to death that if they do something to control an animal, it's gonna come on them. Now, it does say in here that if you do something as a farmer or a 4-H'er, you're at the county fair and your animal's taken off and you grab it by the tail and knock it down however you can, it says in here, you're doing that to prevent a worse event. Like maybe the animal was gonna go after someone. You know, the sheep, everybody's by the sheep and stuff, and you know, the sheep will, you know, maybe do something, so you're gonna stop it. So how are they protected? Because I think that's the feeling that we're getting from the farmers. I grew up with farmers. I know they have to do a lot of stuff to keep those animals from, you know, doing things. So what is the protection for the farmers, the 4-H'ers? What else did you mention?
I think it excludes, it's normal animal husbandry. It does
Yeah,
exclude.
which I think that would include 4-H and everything. That's normal animal
I mean, we
husbandry,
should-
right?
Right, so I can address all of the questions you just asked.
Okay.
First of all,
I'm sorry, there were a lot of them, but I'm just listening to their fears of it's gonna come at us.
so it's not us bringing this forward, this was brought to our office to look at, so I just want to be clear about that. The state's
Yeah.
attorney's office didn't come up with this, didn't propose it, it was brought to
You're
us,
the
we
legal
reviewed it.
aspect.
We're trying to make sure that, you know, legally everything's done correct.
Mhm.
With respect to concerns of the Farm Bureau and their members, they currently do not enjoy protections under the Humane Care for Animals Act, other than good animal husbandry, which is an exemption here. So they don't have those protections under the Humane Care for Animals Act. Likewise, kind of why should they have them under a local ordinance, right? So that's the thought process and why an exemption isn't necessary from our office's standpoint. If this ordinance didn't go into place, they could be prosecuted under the Humane Care for Animals Act. That could be events at the fairgrounds, that could be anything. So it's not really a necessary level of protection. It's not something they currently enjoy under the state statute, so.
So I guess the question is if they use force to bring down an animal that's going after somebody, you're gonna run out into traffic, whatever, how is that gonna be addressed with this amendment?
But that's
Because it's
exigent
not entertainment.
circumstances, though, that exigent
Right, but I think that's their fear.
So it's currently in there, what's written in there is a necessity defense, and that's common in criminal law.
Yes, and that's in there, so that should protect them, and we will.
Well, not just them, anybody who runs into that situation.
Right, if I grab my dog, you know, the same thing, who's gonna go bite somebody if I grab them and pull them back, you're protecting.
I
So
think
it's
it lowers the
specific
burden for-
entertainment.
The ordinance will.
Yeah.
But I do think something that sometimes gets lost in looking at the ordinances, there's a tremendous amount of discretion, both in the charging through the Animal Control Department, the Sheriff's Office, and the prosecution through our office. So I don't want to not address that. We don't look at these in black and white. We oftentimes look at the facts and circumstances and individuals involved in terms of whether we're gonna charge, what we're gonna charge, and how we're gonna prosecute. So I think it's important to keep that in mind as you think about it.
I also just, when we have the discussion, I would like to say something.
Member Ortiz?
Yeah, can you guys just, sorry, you guys are gonna have to like dimmy it down a whole lot for me, right? But can you help me understand how this county's ordinance or what we're voting on or deciding on or having this discussion on, what would this accomplish that isn't already being addressed with our state laws? Like, what is the service, not service gap, but what is the gap that we're trying to close? Yeah, what gap exists in the state law?
What's the good of it?
So the state
Yeah.
law does not currently define what cruel treatment is. This is us specifically stating that engaging in certain activities is cruel treatment. And then it allows us to have a lower level charge that potentially we can negotiate cases on, we can charge cases on. Because ultimately the concern, one of the valid concerns is that somebody gets a temporary use permit, something happens at the event, we go to prosecute under a felony or misdemeanor charge, we lose that charge. It may not necessarily be at trial. There's a lot of things that happen, evidence, witnesses. We can't secure an outcome on the criminal charge to then take action on a temporary use permit. This gives us that ability to have another level, to be able to get some kind of plea deal or guilty so that we can then go after the permit holder.
And how often does that happen?
You know, it may not have happened up until today, but it could happen 20 times after today. So we don't really look at the past as what dictates what's gonna happen in the
Right,
future.
but sometimes when we try to fill in gaps, it's because we're looking at patterns that we've seen and it's happened multiple times, and then we step in and say, we should do something about that. So if there isn't a history of this happening often, I'm just trying to understand why we're trying to fill this this gap that and it's caused this huge discussion and all of these opinions to come about where has it been a consistent problem?
I think it's been.
Let's do you have a response for that?
So again, we didn't propose it, so that's not really something that we can address.
Within your office, what you would just explain, which thank you for that, that kind of seemed.
So you're asking, if I understand, you're asking, what is the prevalence? What is the how much has this existed?
Right, that would help me understand the urgency of having to move this quicker.
Sure.
Or I'm huge on prevention, right? But is this something that?
Mr. Hartman or Sheriff Tatelman?
I'll initially address that, and I guess the way to address it is.
Or Mary Ellen, I apologize. Yep.
As it's come to the county board's attention, that raises the question is, if this activity is occurring, these specified activities are occurring, should they continue to occur, or should there be a policy against them? And that's really what's on the question. As Kevin mentioned, the Humane Care for Animals Act is pretty broad. This provides specific delineation to say certain activities are going to be considered animal cruelty in McHenry County. And what this policy does is makes that statement. So whether or not they've occurred in the past, moving forward, it's going to be very clear that these are no longer acceptable activities within the county.
And we want to take that action as the counties, even though the state of Illinois doesn't necessarily see it that way.
Well,
we want to, as a county, we want to say.
But to clarify, if an event that we're talking about, the ordinance on, occurs, it's inhumane, and it could still be that way. We're just defining the event because it's got a name. So it's not like poke a bear or hit a dog with a stick. We're not going to define that. But the event has a name. It's called tailing. So we want to abolish the event. That it is considered inhumane. It's not about anything else it's just inhumane, period. So they're defining something that already is used in the language for an event of entertainment so that it doesn't happen at all. Not that they're trying to find people that go out and pull a cow's tail on a farm to, lift it up like that to castrate them. That's not what this is about. It's about taking a definition that's already out there, calling it inhumane, and being able to prosecute it when it happens. So
there are many. I'm sorry. Were you done? I apologize.
No, I'm done.
Okay. I just want to be. My job here is to be laser focused on each portion. So I just don't want to get off of Lupe's initial concern about the prevalence of it. I think Mr. Hartman. Oh, yeah. Director.
Jump in here.
Yes, please.
I am a board member for the Illinois Animal Control Association. I attend a lot of the national conferences on animal control, and this is a national question. This is a national issue. Some states are adding it to their state law. Illinois, there are some representatives in Illinois who are trying to get it added to the Humane Care for Animals Act, specifically tailing. So I was just at a meeting on Friday. We're going to be talking to some of our state representatives again. We know that other counties around us here are also trying to pass this in their local ordinances. I can't speak to whether, are you aware if anybody actually has yet or not? Food. So we know one has, which is where we got some of our information. We know there are a few other counties who are waiting to see what we do here. But I will tell you, as animal control, adding in the definition of tailing is important to me. It tells me that the people in this county do not think it's an activity that should go on. And it gives me a better ground to say, you know what, the county has said it shouldn't happen. Now we at animal control can help move that forward to enforce it. And then in the sheriff's office, if it is a criminal offense, a criminal thing that's happening, we have the ability to enforce it together.
So can you speak to the prevalence again? Do we have an idea of how many times, were we called, I know it wasn't in our preview already, but were we called out last year or the last couple of years, an idea of how many times or number of events?
I cannot say that we have always been called out specifically for tailing, because we have been called out for some other animal cruelty acts at some of these animal events. But we have definitely been called for tailing. Some other counties have been called for tailing. I feel that maybe we don't have as many permits because we are taking some action on animal cruelty specifically with some of these actions, and we've lowered that. But it's really important for us to have as many tools as we can have so that when we get to court, whether it's OV court or criminal court, we have something to stand by.
OV court being ordinance violation court?
Ordinance violations, yes.
Sheriff Tatelman, do you have any comments on the prevalence or your perspective?
Yeah, maybe, and good evening, everyone. I think just giving how the procedure works for us, you know, when it comes to these, maybe it'll give you a little bit of better portrayal on what it means and how the state's attorney explained it. I just look at the safety aspect of it. So when we have events, the temporary use permit comes in, planning development will send us the safety plan. So that to pass that, an individual who is applying for a temporary use permit can go. They can either utilize us, the sheriff's office, as the safety for the event, or they can bring their own safety that has to go through a vetting process. It has to, through the sheriff's office, and we do that. If we are on site, our primary focus is the safety and security of the event. Most of the time, our backs are to the animals. So when we get complaints, it's usually by someone that is at the event, or most recently by Shark. So they have various ways where they have people attend, they've flown drones, they've done all these things. So usually when the incident occurs, we're catching it after the fact. It's not like we're actively watching this to occur. When they happen is usually when we try to coordinate with animal control, because our office is not the expertise when it comes to these type of investigations. We do a really good job of working with animal control and vets and getting the opinions, and then we put criminal charges together. I think there was a big case last year. I think there's 4 individuals that were arrested. I think we're about half and half. Some of them have pled out. One of them was continued last week. So we focus on the state criminal charges. And we rely on the health department and animal control, and they're able to file that ordinance violation as well. So to answer your question specifically, if we weren't able to file charges because we didn't have the burden of proof to file a charge, it's not that we turn a blind eye and we don't do it. We have to meet certain thresholds, that allows us to do that. And those can be for a litany of reasons. And but I'm trying to remember a specific instance where we've had a complaint. Usually the complaint is not good enough to substantiate, further investigation. Or we work with animal control, and we both agree that, that whatever that threshold is, it hasn't been met for either of us to be able to really do anything with it.
You referenced Shark there, so just so we're aware, that's, and I'm less familiar, it's an animal welfare group. It's not part of the county. It's a safeguarding
not-for-profit
organization. I don't remember what it stands for. I apologize. But they're a third party who makes reference. Sorry, go ahead.
Showing kindness.
Showing kindness.
Respect towards animals, something like that.
Okay. All right, thank you. So that helps.
How are we going to handle the racial backlash of this ordinance?
Mm-hmm.
Because tailing is mainly a Hispanic event.
Okay, my opinion is that it doesn't matter racial-wise, it's inhumane. So irregardless, I FOIA'd how many rodeos we had. In 2024, we had 3 permits issued, 2025, 4, and nothing so far this year. My opinion is that whoever does it, it's inhumane. So we're just identifying an activity that's got a name. If it didn't have a name and someone was still doing it, it would be still inhumane, but this has now got a name, like polling and tripping, it's already in the state statute. This is not. Cockfighting was in there, that's, you know.
Allow me to redirect that question to the state's attorney's office. Is there a concern about prosecution, lawsuits, racial intent, I think is what you're talking about?
We don't have any concern with the way it's being proposed that we could do that.
There are 2 proposed amendments here. There's an Althoff and an Althoff-Sager amendment. I do note that the second one, the Sager amendment, calls out an exemption for milk days. It sounds like legacy events in the county. Is there an additional concern with one of those amendments versus another?
She's gonna amend hers to his. So if his goes first, it's done, a done deal. Pam told me that she's happy to have Sager's amendment get voted on first if it passes, and, you know.
Well, before us are 2 sets of wording. The question stands. Is there a concern?
It's been our position that exemption number 3 for the fairgrounds and for other milk days should not be in there.
Because?
Because they don't have that exemption under the Humane Care Fairgrounds Act.
Very good. So you sense that we are a greater liability or greater?
Well, I don't know that it's a liability.
Applicability?
It's just.
Creates additional challenges.
Correct.
Yeah.
For what's
For
the term
differential
for it?
treatment.
Thank you.
And to piggyback off on, regardless of the social content that you said, I think that just including with our farmers, right? Like, regardless of the race or the ethnicity group, we have farmers' opinions on here. And if anything, I have not seen the opinion of those who will be affected by this in this room. Now, could that be they're at fault for not being part of these conversations? Maybe, but I do think that it is important when decisions like these are gonna happen, they should be in the room. Those who've asked for different permits in regards to this, or those who may be affected by it, discussion with them should, regardless of the ethnicity group that there is, people who've had these events and would be affected by this.
What I don't, maybe you missed the point that they made. They've already got a case without that they've tried to move forward, and there's still something outstanding. So.
Well, Member Ortiz, I think, if I understand your question there, your statement there, is that this will potentially, the goal of this would be to regulate some events that we've already addressed, we've commented on, may have some cultural impact. And I agree, I don't know if I have seen anyone weigh in from those groups. The rodeos, I think is fair to say.
Rodeos, right, in general.
So has there been any outreach to those groups?
Just how if there would be no farmers here or people who do livestock, I would be, the same concern would say, wait, this would affect, this goes into, we make decisions for people that it does not affect us in any way in the way that we live our lives and do our daily work or do any of this. And I would feel more comfortable with having discussions like this with those who are affected by these ordinances a little bit more. If farmers weren't in the room, I would be saying the same thing in regards to farmers.
We're talking 3 events and 4 events, and we've already established that tailing is inhumane.
But we're talking about making sure everyone is at the table. And while I hear that there has been discussion about this in the past, I'm concerned or curious about why we still have here before us the president and the manager of the Farm Bureau. So I would like to know how these populations in general were represented if we still have people here saying that they feel like they weren't a part of the discussion.
But we made concessions on the original proposal. It's been made in conjunction with the Farm Bureau. They don't get everything that they want, but they did get some concessions.
Administrator Hartman?
Yeah, I will say, I personally attended the June 10th Farm Bureau meeting, and we presented this issue. That really kicked off the discussion. We had Mr. Volkers and Dan Ziller present and literally at the table during committee discussions on this. So they certainly have had input. They provided documentation, the correspondence that was referenced in public comment. So there was a lot of input from there. The definition of tailing is amended pursuant to the suggestion and recommendation that was offered from the Farm Bureau, or Mr. Volkers, I'll say specifically. So there have been areas of input. Now the question comes down to public policy, right? It's the county board ultimately going to determine what is the public policy of McHenry County. And the way it's written is to say, and I appreciate that the comment was written to say, this event is recognized as cruel and it should not occur in the county. And if that's going to be the public policy of the county board, they'll recognize it. Doesn't matter who does it, how it happens, but if that's the law, if that's in the Public Health Ordinance and the Animal Cruelty Act, that becomes the law. Then to say, equivocally, you should not tail. You should not have a tailing event, period. Doesn't matter what population is doing it, and the exemptions are really relative to the Farm Bureau is to ensure that the intent is for, and clearly for entertainment, for sporting events, not for good, normal animal husbandry. And that's clear. Also, too, laying down of an animal for medical or identification purposes. You know, these are practices that could occur. And the intent was really to carve it out and say that it is not to affect your normal animal husbandry. It's really for those entertainment events. And that's the target and the focus. And to say this event for entertainment is inhumane and you can be prosecuted if this becomes the policy of the county.
In an effort to make sure your voices are heard, did that address your concern about the Farm Bureau's concern?
I'm not sure.
Okay, that's okay to hold it. And Member Ortiz, I thought I picked up a little different there, that there was another group, a rodeo group, that maybe who has not been part of the conversation. And if the Farm Bureau is concerned, and they are here,
I mean, any really.
I just want to make sure your voice is heard. So does that answer your question?
Were there any people who participate in rodeos the way that they're supposed to be done, I suppose, part of these conversations?
Our planning and development director did have a conversation with one of the producers of one of the rodeo events. He's not here this evening. I didn't know if we would need him. I didn't ask him to come. Had I known, I would have asked him to come, but he personally had that conversation.
And what was his opinion?
His opinion that they didn't have a concern.
And I think we have to look at too, we're not trying to shut down rodeos.
I know.
We're just doing one thing that's animal cruelty that happens to be
I'm sorry.
in that event.
All of it is cruelty. I don't like the fact that we're just pinpointing on tailing.
Decades.
Right, these have all been decades. I mean, choking an animal and making him trip and break a leg in a rodeo is cruelty. I don't like the fact that we are pinpointing this. If you believe in animal cruelty, then stop it all.
But it's
Not
got a
pinpointing.
name.
But so does other things have a name.
Polling is in the ordinance as well. Polling, tripping is already in there. So this has an actual activity moniker to it. It's not saying a dog show and someone does, or a halter show for horses. It's well-defined activity that we're trying to prevent. Well-defined. It's a very narrow activity.
When it's part of entertainment. It's not the activity that we're trying to prevent, because that activity is done for other matters that maybe our farmers or livestock people have said it's done, and it's cruelty when it's done to a certain extent.
No, the event itself on a 25-mile-per-hour minimum horse galloping and grabbing a cow's tail is not the same as a farmer trying to get a cow lifting his tail up, and so it pushes pressure on the nerve so they can castrate it, or getting it into a chute. That's a human being is not running 20 miles an hour and dragging a cow. This is specific to the activity of tailing. That's it. And farmers don't call it tailing.
Which I understand. I'm just confused on my end on why I'm still hearing comments from our farmers, who I think would be the experts at this way more than I am, that are still not at that same level as maybe comments of others. I'm just confused on if I reach out to a farmer and get their opinion, they're not as concerned as maybe other groups of people. And that's what I'm trying to have a better grasp on.
Should we watch the video? So everybody can see what actual tailing is.
Yes, please. I mentioned that in my
Ma'am,
comments.
ma'am, I appreciate your interest.
We saw
I
a
do.
video presented.
Member Gaffney. There was a video presented before. I am gonna say, I would not propose we watch the video.
It's not
Only
necessary.
insofar as that this is an emotional appeal. Personally, I can have emotions about something. I am here to do the business of this board and to make sure it is shepherded to its culmination. I don't think there's, I think does anyone have a question about what activity we're talking about? Is anyone uncertain what that looks like? Okay, thank you. I want to make sure that we got all the different questions handled. I think there was a question in there about the 2 different amendments. You had mentioned that Pam was going to maybe amend her language. Mr. Hartman, do you have any insight onto what's going to happen? Because this is kind of my issue here, is the same issue that when it came before Rob, we didn't have a complete amendment to review. And I apologize, Member Carmen, that it was your committee and you didn't have something to review either.
Correct, yeah, it was kind of, I mean.
Do we have an idea of what that looks like?
Right, I mean, we've been saying it's been going on for months, but we got it very quickly, we never got the full, and we still don't even have the full amendment. And I just feel like they want to rush this because it's the middle of the season. I mean, if it's been, I don't know why they have to rush it. There aren't any rodeos right now. Let's take our time, let's talk to the farmers, let's talk to people who do rodeos. Let's make sure that we're not hurting anyone in their business and their livelihood before we do this, especially our local farmers.
Well, it's
So
not
I
affecting the whole.
agree with that, but it sounds like you were hoping that we would be able to not table this and have a vote that is a yes or a no, and I'm not quite sure that.
That is my preference as the chair, though anyone can make a motion. Before we get to that, that question still stands.
Correct. So you asked about the 2 amendments, and as I said in my overview, I'm not sure where this is going to go tomorrow. Whether it's going to be Member Altoff's amendment, whether it's going to be Member Altoff's amendment with Member Sager's contributions to it, or if it doesn't go anywhere. I mean, that's going to be a possibility.
I can understand that difficulty on your part. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, well, what I'll tell you is when this was discussed on Thursday at the committee of the whole meeting, and as it evolved, once again, this has been an evolution, and it has developed. Member Altoff had put on what you see in the packet as the Altoff amendment, and then Member Sager indicated some changes that he would like to consider bringing forward. And so the process would be the public health ordinance will come up on the agenda. They'll make a motion, a second to put it on the table. Member Altoff will likely make an amendment, and the motion is spelled out, so you have the wording. And at that time, either it would be Member Sager's amendment, or Member Sager can further amend it to incorporate his language. At that time, the county board then will vote on the amendment, and if that amendment passes, then it becomes part of the ordinance that they would ultimately consider in their final vote. If it doesn't, then it could die.
Okay, understood. County board has brought this to us to give a recommendation. We have 2 things before us. Is there a feeling from you what they're looking for?
So my ask of this committee and this board, I certainly appreciate your insight and your question. If the county board were to bring this forward tomorrow, are there any changes or suggestions or recommendations you can make regarding this amendment? Is there anything specific in there? I mean, if you feel as a board the county shouldn't, then you can make that recommendation that can be carried forward and give due consideration by the county board. If in lieu of that, or in addition to that, if there is language in there that you feel should be further expanded or changed, they would be open to that suggestion or recommendation. And I think that's what.
Sorry. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I apologize.
I don't know if I'm allowed.
Director Howell had a concern, I think.
I was just gonna make sure that everybody understands that there are a number of sanctioned rodeo associations in the United States. There's at least one of those sanctioned rodeo associations that has a sister, brother, whatever you wanna call it, association in Mexico, where they do some things in partnership. Many of those sanctioned rodeos do not allow tailing either. It's in their association rules.
Okay.
So
Was that, sorry.
that was all, I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that.
That's helpful.
But I wanted to
Context.
say that what's proposed to us tonight is Sagar's amendment, correct?
What you have before you are two possibilities. It's two paths.
Right.
And which one's gonna be put on the table and ultimately acted upon, that we don't know.
Dr. Tomaso?
As a non-voting member, or non-voting
As an
employee of
advisory
the department, what I'm getting is that this is making it easier to prosecute but you cannot 100% prevent any crime. Does that sound accurate? Just because I think there's confusion with all this legal talk and everything, so I'm just trying to just pare it down. Is that consistent with what this is about? Like, it makes tailing easier to prosecute, but we cannot ever 100% prevent any kind of crime, any kind of animal abuse. But however, when it does exist, this makes it.
And Sheriff Tatum can certainly speak on that, and
Yeah.
especially with his good efforts and the fantastic job that he and his team do.
Right.
But if this becomes the public policy, what it will say is, this event, this activity is a crime.
Right.
And by that nature,
Right.
you know,
But
is
we
that.
know murder is a crime, but yet we know murder still happens. But we can't have a
And
police
murder is
officer
not
with
on
every
the
single
public health
person.
ordinance.
So,
By injection?
yeah, I think, and you can't prevent people from gathering and calling it what they want, so that's all I want to do, is just kind of to take it down to the most basic level of understanding for just, yeah.
So what is
We're gonna
before us and the county
Yeah.
board writ large is the idea of imposing additional regulations on a particular activity for the
Purposes of entertainment.
purposes of, okay. So we're saying- Now, it is our job to weigh the different aspects of that, whatever they may be, because, again, the emotion and the desire to protect people and animals or what have you, of many different topics, and you've seen some of the other things we work on here, drives a lot of things, but there are other concerns, chief of which I'd like to know, what will this cost us to do in a time period when we are constantly being asked to pare budgets and dollars are very much high of mind. If this goes forward, and it does, and I would ask Director Howell what anticipated costs you might think, because at the end of the day, I am concerned also about feeding children and making sure that women can get mammograms and we can do communicable disease investigations and all the panoply of things that we do here, and that costs money. So do you have, I hate to put you on the spot.
We've already had a discussion about that, Melissa and I. There will be a cost to it, right? It depends on what we determine. There are a few things that we're still discussing about the process, correct, Scott? So I estimated that, let's just say there were 4 rodeos, it would probably cost me somewhere around $15,000. There's still a lot of conversation there, but I also need to know if I go into a rodeo with the sheriff's office, looking at potential criminal charges, that my staff are skilled and safe. That's my biggest thing. There have been some things that have happened at some animal activities that have not been safe, and I need to know that my staff, who is not trained in enforcement quite the same way, we're trained in OV, right? That they are safe, that we're able to protect them when they have to go in, let's say, after hours, on a weekend, at nighttime, depending on what the circumstances are.
Would that $15,000 incorporate training on the front end, time in court?
It would not probably cover court. I suspect these are things that we already would be doing in court, except potentially the tailing, which we're now defining. There will be some costs, obviously, because you want to periodically have training, you want to periodically get new gear, whatever we determine we need to have. I'm assuming that if the county board passes it, they're going to be supportive of the fact that this is going to cost money.
I would like a specific dispensation about what that.
But I think it's important to note that there's already a cost to enforcing animal cruelty. Under the Illinois Humane Care for Animals Act, which was prosecuted, there's already a cost for that. But for this amendment, is that going to increase those costs? And I would say that the answer is no. What this does is provide an additional tool that in the event animal cruelty is occurring at these events or in the county, this provides another tool in which that can be prosecuted, that can be pursued. If this never happened, there's still a cost to the county and to animal control to enforce animal cruelty, is there not?
Are you saying then, if I heard you correctly, that you don't believe there will be any cost increase from this?
I'm saying that it's the same cost that they already have to enforce animal cruelty if it's occurring at these events or in the county. This just provides another tool to say that if this is happening, this can be a citation that's issued.
I have not heard that exactly, so
The
Director Howell,
only
are
thing
you?
that I was going to add to that is the fact that if we are going to be having some responsibilities, we have discussed the possibility of responsibility in the afternoon or early evening of checking on the event, whatever is determined we're going to do. And if we are called out to an event, I need to have enough staff for that. Right now, I have one person who works after hours, and they are responsible for 312 square miles of this county. They are typically going out 3 or 4 times in the evening. So I would have to have 2 staff when these events are happening. So there would be some cost to that, and there would probably be some overtime cost to that. Let's not forget that we have lost a number of staff in the last year because of after hours and overtime. So there needs to be some benefit to have those staff do those things and have those staff feel valued in those, right? And have them want to stay with us.
On that topic of the staff currently and trying to maintain our staffing levels, do you feel confident that our staff right now would be capable of providing this level of enforcement and synergy with the Sheriff's Department at these events? Or will they need additional funding, pay, education, et cetera?
I'm sure that we're probably all aware of the fact that I am down to 2.5 seasoned staff. I have 3 other brand new staff, but animal control is very complex and it takes a while to learn all the laws and learn how to talk to people and learn about going out. So would I possibly send somebody out to observe? Yes, but that'd be a 3rd person, right, on for an evening. So it would be a struggle. If we were called out for any cruelty, we would obviously respond, because we always have responded. We respond to cruelties that are not connected to the sheriff's office. We go out, maybe it's heat, maybe it's cold, maybe it's food and water, right? We have responsibilities under the humane care that are your basic owner's duties. But then we have things that rise to a criminal level in which we respond as well. So it's not as if we're not doing it, but we definitely, in this case, it would stretch the staff that I have, and it would definitely have to lead to additional staff so that we are still providing the services we currently provide, right? And we're available for this.
Yes.
Going back to Cecilia's comment, and then maybe your comment a little bit of like wanting to, your opinion of maybe wanting to pass something, our opinion tonight, right? But going back to Cecilia's of like.
Just clarify, mine's not to pass something, it's just to make a motion.
To make a motion, okay. And Cecilia's comment of like waiting a little bit, but before I make a comment on that, I just want to have a greater understanding. We're the ones that give these permits for rodeos, correct?
Not us.
No.
Planning and Development. The
Planning and
Department of Planning and Development approves the permits.
Approves the permits, okay. If we were to elongate this a little bit longer, do we fear that there's permits that are being given out that where this action is being taken place? Like if we elongate it a little bit longer, do we fear that this animal cruelty action is happening and the longer that we take? I'm seeing nods on the room, but is that what's happening? Are we giving permits where this behavior is currently happening?
So to my understanding, we've not yet had a rodeo permit that was issued.
This fiscal year?
This fiscal year. The season is now coming upon us.
Okay.
It's usually typically August, September, October is the season. So time is of the essence. And the parallel, or I should say the second prong of the approach is the amendment to the UDO, which is specifically focused on a temporary use permit that allows these activities to occur on certain land. That is going to be put on a 30-day review tomorrow.
Okay.
And it's for action in August.
I just want to state that.
Sorry, one moment. Just to clarify for everyone's knowledge, because based on what you said, regardless of whatever action we take tonight, it is on the county board's agenda tomorrow. And they will vote on it one way or the other. We don't know, they will vote for it, they will vote against it, they will vote a different language. That's what I'm recognizing.
We just want to recommend.
But it is our part of, I see it as our duty, it is part of our statutory obligation that we may make recommendation to the county board on ordinances, public health ordinances. This is falling under the public health ordinance, so I see that as our duty to make a recommendation. Whether that recommendation is a vote to choose some of this language, not choose it, I just want your voices as this board to have, to use that voice. That voice could also be to table it, I suppose, but we will be then just pushing it off. Did that, sorry, and I stopped you, I interrupted you. Do you want to
Yeah,
finish?
no, I get that, and thank you for that. I just want to make sure that it's clear that I hear comments of, not just tonight, but prior to tonight, of like, the Board of Health is like ignoring animal cruelty, and I just want to make sure that at least from my personal, that's not the case at all. I'm just trying to have a greater understanding of all of this and trying to understand the timing of it. Like, it just because we're not making, or I should say myself, like the best recommendation that I would want as a board member does not mean that I'm ignoring animal cruelty in any way. I just want to have an informed recommendation and having a greater understanding of all the parties that will be affected and how much it's currently happening, right? Because that to me is important on like, the longer we elongate this, or maybe the county board, will this have an effect on, is this currently happening right now and we're ignoring that? I just don't want it to be, that's what's happening, because I'll speak for myself, that's not what I'm ignoring at all. Like, I'm just trying to have a better understanding of it all.
Would it be?
And then the timing of it all.
Yeah, I think the question of timing is an important question and an important clarification. As I indicated earlier, the county board's process when it looks at ordinances, and public health ordinance is an ordinance. Step one, after, as you made recommendations to the public health ordinance, that flowed to the county board and it went through committee, and then it went through in June onto the county board and put on what's called a 30-day review. And that is an opportunity for a public review, public comment before the county board takes action on that. Where the timing becomes critical is tomorrow, the county board is going to act on the adoption to the public health ordinance. A lot of other changes that were made, that's going to be acted upon. If this amendment is deemed to be in the best interest of the county and the county board wants to make this public policy, the time to do it is tomorrow as an amendment to the ordinance when they adopt it. If they do not, then the next step would be to do another amendment to the public health ordinance, which then would follow that cycle of coming through the committee, 30-day review, and so basically, in essence, it's going to be at least a 2+ month process. And that is really just, I think, what's critical to know about tomorrow and why tomorrow's vote is important for the county board to consider, because if they don't do it now, it doesn't mean they couldn't do it, or they couldn't amend it in the future following that same process by putting a policy in place and saying, okay, maybe we need to tweak it as we tweak ordinances and policies change. The public health ordinance is always in the state of being amended and being developed and being expanded or being clarified. Following that, there is the opportunity down the road, if this policy isn't put in place by amendment, at some point in time, that can be revisited by the Board of Health and the county board to consider whether or not it's working, should it be changed, should it be.
Would it be helpful to know that of the rodeos that were issued permits last year, every one of them had a tailing event?
That's good to know.
Are there any other additional stakeholders that have comments or would like to be recognized? Stakeholders being county employees or, just Sheriff, Dr. Howell, you have something?
Yeah, you had mentioned that people are saying, are we enforcing animal cruelty laws? We are enforcing them every single day. And every law enforcement agency is enforcing them on a regular basis. There's lots of different types of animal cruelty out there, and the level of whether it is an OB charge or it's a criminal charge. And these are happening every single day. We are investigating, the sheriff's office is investigating, another municipality is investigating. There's a whole variety of them out there. Lots of different species of animals. We always take into consideration good husbandry, but we are not failing on animal cruelty. Sometimes it's a matter of being able to get into a property, right? Touching base with an owner of an animal. So every single day we are working to get those things done.
And I'm aware of that. I have no doubt of that. I just get comments of, because of these discussions and because I guess maybe what others have believed that we've elongated this, right, to give a recommendation to the county, that as a board, we've neglected animal cruelty. And I just want to say that that's not what I believe any of our board members are doing. And that because we don't take this lightly is why we're having these discussions, and we want to hear everybody's opinion on this. But I know that. That's why I get offended when I hear comments like this, that board members are neglecting this, or that our staff are neglecting this. And I don't believe that that's the case.
We've made a number of strides in our animal cruelty ordinance, the Article 6. We've made changes over the years. We've tried different cases to see how they've gone. And this is another step.
I hear your concern, Member Ortiz, and I agree with you. I would emphatically state that no one on this board condones animal cruelty in any form or fashion, or all of the other, as I said, menagerie of things that we handle here. Nobody wants to do poorly, and everyone wants to take care of the people we are here to serve. However, this doesn't exist in a vacuum, and I appreciate everyone's thoughts on the topic. State's Attorney's Office, do you have any other insight?
Yeah. I just one more. So we can, in tightening these laws, clarifying laws, making them easier to prosecute should be a deterrent for crime. But however, we know that in every county, in every state in the United States of America, animal cruelty does happen. And whether or not tightening laws deters crime is a whole philosophical discussion that could take another, So I just want to put that out, that if there's a tailing that happens, it's not because we just are closing our eyes to it.
I saw a number of hands. I want to just quickly, I will come to all of you. I just want two members that I just want to make sure you recognize. Dr. Zerk, do you have any comments or concerns, questions?
No, I'm fine right now.
Dr. Hafiz?
Just listening.
I don't want to put you on the spot. I just want to
No, great discussion. No, I do understand the whole animal cruelty for entertainment. Yeah, I get that. And defining that with the ordinance certainly is helpful. The question I didn't quite understand though is then why are we have some exemptions? If it is cruel, it's cruel, but then why under certain locations or venues, it's okay there but not others? I'm struggling to understand
The
that.
state's attorney's office that was part of the state, what I asked them about was that they are less comfortable with that portion of it.
Exemption number 3, exemptions 1 and 2 are
Yeah,
from
3,
the
really.
human care permit.
1 and 2 is understandable.
Is that do you have a pointed question to
No,
that, or
just-
is it's a rhetorical question?
Rhetorical question.
I agree.
I found an article involving the Boone County banning, and it states that the Illinois Attorney General says targeting Mexican-style rodeos may violate anti-discrimination laws.
Okay. Is the
I've read the letter and I don't agree with the opinion.
Would the language of this ordinance change be similar, different than what they have used there in Boone?
Boone, I think, just says tailing. It doesn't give a definition. So ours is actually more expansive than what Boone County
So
has.
you're more comfortable with this proposed amendment? Okay.
And going back to your comment, Cindy, of like all of the rodeo permits that were given, 100% of them had tailing. Would that include our county fairground rodeos? So that's not 100%.
No, of the permanent rodeos.
So our county doesn't need a permit because it's our county?
The fairgrounds do not,
Because
they do not need a temporary use permit based on their
Because
needs.
Yeah,
And if
okay.
there's a sanctioned rodeo, the rules and the very sanctioned rodeos do not include tailing as an event.
So all of our rodeos in McHenry County included tailing? The ones that needed the permit?
Yes.
I can't speak to that. All I can say is that
Yes,
if
the
it was not.
Kishwaukee and the Coral, both of those, the 2 event locations did do that for their permanent events for last year.
Right, those are 2 out of I don't know how many permits we
That's
give
the
out
only
throughout the
ones
year.
that got the permit.
Sheriff Tadelman or Director Howell, have we been called out to any rodeos that were not permitted? And my question is, are we catching are we correctly permitting all of them, or they're going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, no, I know that we've seen flyers and we have people that are trolling the internet to make sure that, that if a permit's not issued, they're still advertising events. We do drive-bys by those events. Granted, it makes it difficult because of laws. We can't just walk on property to see what kind of events people are doing. We try to use common sense, and if we see lots of vehicles, we would assume. We do forward that information to planning and development for further, conversations. We've had those conversations, but to my knowledge, and I went to my state's attorneys, I don't think we've prosecuted anyone for a non-sanctioned event that we're able to, have enough threshold of facts to make arrests on that.
And I think to be clear, this proposed amendment and the TUP, the UDO, the temporary use permit, isn't saying you cannot have a rodeo or an animal entertainment event. All it's saying is there are certain things that are not acceptable within those events. They can continue, and agritourism is one of the key pillars of McHenry County's economy. I mean, we have a lot of agritourism, and that the farming community and the animal, but that generates a lot of activity and a lot of people into McHenry County. It's part of our economy. All this is saying is there are certain events that are prohibited, or certain activities are prohibited within those events. I'm not saying those events couldn't happen.
So there is an event called tailing, but there's also the activity of performing tailing.
Yeah, and I'm using the term, the event is kind of the production. Right? Within that production, you have certain activities.
And why wouldn't we feel comfortable enforcing this to those that are being exempt?
That's for us to determine for the county board, but for us to make a recommendation about. So I personally would feel more comfortable if we're gonna take action that it is it was the same across the board.
So are we gonna make are we going to vote on both motions? On both amendments?
We can structure that however we want to do it. I just want to make sure there were a couple of other voices down here. Dr. Katz, did you have a question or comment? And then otherwise, Ms. Lawson?
Yes, but I don't think that the state's attorney's office or the sheriff needs to be here for, it's more like discussion. I don't think it's like specific questions that I would ask either of them.
So tailing is illegal. The state says it's illegal. No.
Does the
That's
State
where I get
prohibits
confused.
cruel treatment of animals.
Okay.
And the
so
gray
we're
area is
naming
whether
it.
tailing is cruel.
So that's more
There's
clear.
no, yeah, there's no state law.
Do you want to continue your thought?
So, yeah, I just to make sure. So the state doesn't have anything on tailing. So they figure if the county has something on tailing, we will be able to prosecute it. But the state isn't gonna have anything on tailing?
They don't yet.
It's covered under the state law, having it specifically listed as a prohibited activity with a lower level charge gives us another tool to be able to go after it.
Okay. So we're gonna take on the tailing so that we have another tool to stop the tailing.
Cruel treatment.
That sounds
Cruel
succinct.
treatment, which we're naming it tailing, because we're not looking at anything else. We're not looking at the polling. We're not looking at that. We're just looking at the tailing.
Does anyone else have any more questions or concerns about the topic at large? Otherwise, my only concern is about the monetary impact.
Well, and the staffing. So I 100% am not against the language in this ordinance. I understand it. I understand what we're trying to do. I get it. My concern is that if this is a time crunch and we have to move quickly, what is that gonna look like for our staff who also is gonna need to move quickly when we're already understaffed and undertrained in this particular area? Well, in all of animal control, but for this specifically, right? Like, that's hypothetical, but.
I think once we have either a yes vote or no vote, then we'll have to finish our conversation about the process and what animal control may play a part in a new process.
To your point though, you brought up a good point. Help me understand, if there's 4 rodeo events for the year, you're not telling us that you gotta assign someone for 24 hours a day or however long the rodeo goes to be on call? Or are you saying that? Is that where the expense is coming in?
That's where some of that expense is
Okay.
coming in, as well as having the safety tools that we would need and
Right.
maybe some safety.
But
training.
separate from that, the person that's going to be on call is in addition to the person you already have, which you explained that
Correct.
earlier.
Yes.
But they're not gonna, are they gonna be on call for the, how do you know, I guess, because these go on, they have bands playing and entertainment at nighttime and things like that. How do you determine the time that's gonna be expended on that event from your staff?
Well, we would be looking at, first of all, P&D is adding us the communication, so we know in advance that they're happening, right? And so then we would have to come up with a plan on staffing the day of the event and whatever the hours, because events could have different hours, right? I believe in the past when my staff has gone out, not into the rodeo, but to the rodeo, it has typically been in the early, mid-evening. But I would have to have somebody on knowing that there's an event from whatever we decide is gonna happen in the process to the end of the event, unless the animals are gone.
So based on what we did last year, even if it in doubles, I mean, we'd be looking at 8 events throughout the year.
Yep.
Okay, and then from a P&D standpoint, would the permitting process include, do they hand out something that says this is not permitted when they give out the permit? So they're understanding ahead of time before they have their event or when they get the permit that tailing is not permitted?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
What's the maximum allowable fine that's listed under here?
Right
$1,000?
now, it's 1,000 for an OV. There is some discussion at the state level about increasing that, so the language has been written to whatever the maximum the state is allowing. And it would be for each individual action that happens.
Okay.
So individual animal or individual person or whatever the situation is.
Who pays, who gets cited for the OV? The owner, the coordinator, the person riding the horse? All
You
the
know,
above?
we haven't had to do that for this type of situation, but in the past, it sometimes is the owner of the property, right? In other cruelty situations, it's the owner of the animal. Sometimes it can be other residents of the home, right? So there's a variety of people who can be ticketed.
In the way it's written, it is no person or entity may organize an event, offer an entertainment venue, so you got the producer, the landowner offering the entertainment venue, or actually engaging in inhumane treatment. So all three of those could be subject to violation.
I have a question.
Criminal too?
One thing when you were talking about earlier about going to committee, so like this ordinance, well, it went to like the county committee, but I feel like it didn't go through the right channels with us. We never got the full thing, and I feel like the county board is kind of pushing this without getting our full impact. And the fact that they're voting on tomorrow is basically saying, hey, you guys, we're not gonna give you everything we wanna do. It's affecting you and your budget. Go ahead, let us know what you think, but we're gonna do what you wanna do. And I feel like it's almost, disrespectful to us and me as the chair of that committee, that this is you're saying that it's been going on for a couple months, when we're just, I just heard about this on the last
when we
meeting.
came into our meeting.
But we can do that anytime.
Yeah,
It was
and
on our
that's how it
June
works.
Board of Health
Yeah.
agenda. And then
Then we
I
have
believe the
to-
recommendation was to send it to the
This is how
ROP,
they-
so we
how
sent
they
it to the
roll.
ROP.
That was me. But we didn't have an amendment at that time either.
Right, we didn't have anything.
Well, there was
what was in play at that
Yeah,
time?
what,
We did have it at our committee, Pam talked about
It was
it.
still evolving.
Is it the same as we have now?
No.
No.
Okay, all right.
so it has changed multiple
No, but I know, I
times.
guess it's just odd because other things, this is the
We
first
kinda
time I've
discussed.
seen things change.
Your point is well taken, and I agree with you. I am trying to give grace about the moving parts of our society, but I share your frustration, and I spoke to Administrator Hartman on the phone and apologize also for the way I handled that, but in terms of expressing that discontent. And it is well taken.
And in the conversation, though, we pointed out kind of the uniqueness of this. This is, in my tenure with the county, which is about a dozen years, and Melissa or Marilyn, correct me if I'm wrong, I've not seen a proposal to the public health ordinance originate from the county board to you. Usually that all originates from this committee as a recommendation moving forward. So I think that's what makes this one a little bit unique as well. It was a county board initiative, or a county board member initiative, I think, to be very clear.
And we want to be responsive to those concerns as if it was coming from any other member of the public, as we have looked at things like that. It's just a little turned around. So I appreciate everyone's flexibility and diligence looking at this.
So can we table this until we get the full written of amendments?
We do
and
have it.
ordinance?
We do have, we have two tonight to look at.
You have on this
That doesn't
topic,
include like the pulling or tripping
That's
or
already in the
kneeling.
state.
That's in the
what
States.
is on the agenda for this item tonight is language from, there's two offerings. There are two offerings. This group, this board may make a motion to recommend one of them, the other one of them. You could make a motion that we want to go with the Altough amendment, but we want an agreement from the county board that they will support emergency appropriations for additional dollars to fund the activity. You could make a motion to table it. You could make a motion to send it to Rob. Those are the things that you can do. You can table it indefinitely.
Well, we can table it, they can't, they're not tabling it.
No. Our board,
Right.
those are the things that we can make a motion on, because we are merely recommending the ordinance change to the county board. They've come to us with language like, as Scott said, it's a little bit out of order. They've come to us with recommended language. We can say, yeah, we agree with this. We recommend this language, or we don't. We could start a vote right now. Anyone who motions to vote for it must vote in favor of it. But You could vote no.
Oh, I'd like to make a motion to accept Board Member Salger's
Okay,
ordinance.
so the question or that you're putting forth, you're making a motion to recommend to the county board the Althoff-Sager amendment, which is page 2 of this form.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Is there a second?
I think I'll second it.
There is a second. I think we've had lots of discussion. Is there any minute little discussion, clarifying questions? Everyone knows what the Althoff-Sager amendment consists of here?
Yes,
It
that's
is-
the one that's considering the Harvard days, milk days and the county are exempt.
Let me just read out for everyone's benefit, the differences, the addition that the Sager amendment makes on the Althoff amendment. It adds a subsection 2, this is under 3, that adds kicking, facially striking, hitting, or prodding by means of a sharp or electrified instrument, or general beating of animals, or subsection 3, the use of drugs, stimulants, or external body irritants to excite or energize animal behavior in event activities. Then it goes on to the additional exemption. This prohibition does not apply to the following. I'm gonna read all the original, the shared exemptions. This prohibition does not apply to the following. A, laying down of an animal for medical or identification purposes. B, normal, good animal husbandry practices as recognized by the Illinois Department of Agriculture. And C is the additional exemption of the Sager amendment that Member Gaffney is proposing. Animal events held in conjunction with McHenry County Fair and Harvard Milk Days.
And if we get other events, they can add to it in the county level?
No, it's saying that
Those
animal
are-
events held in conjunction with McHenry County Fair and Harvard Milk Days are exempt from this.
Okay.
That is an additional exemption. Is everyone clear on what this amendment says, how it differs, and what you're voting on?
Yes.
Does anyone have questions about what they're voting on? Member Ortiz, any questions? Member Katz?
Nope.
Okay. There is a motion on the table. There is a second. In the interests of this relatively charged atmosphere, let us take a roll call vote. The question on this is whether to recommend to the county board the Althoff-Sager amendment.
Ms. Ortiz?
We're gonna
You have to
start with the mover and the seconder.
Wait, I have a question. I would like a change to this.
You may make a
But-
motion to
but
amend.
Do I say,
There is a motion on
I
the
do
table.
not agree with this,
There is a motion on the table
to
to recommend to the county
Sager's
board the Althoff-Sager amendment as it is written.
The Althoff.
There, we're about to have a vote on that. You may vote how you like. You may also propose an amendment to the motion on the table.
Okay, I would like to propose an amendment to remove C.
What's the?
C
The
is
exemption.
animal events held in conjunction with the McHenry County Fair and Harvard Milk Days.
Why do
You want to take
remove
those,
that?
you don't want to protect them, you want to take them?
They wanted it at our meeting. They asked the.
There's an amendment, there's a motion on.
It is my understand,
There's a sub-motion to amend the main motion to remove item C exemption of animal events held in conjunction with McHenry County Fair and Harvard Milk Days. Is that correct?
the recommendation from the state superior. Yes, that is correct. I would like that removed.
Is there a second to this sub-motion?
Can I say anything?
Second.
I second.
There's a second to the sub-motion.
So,
So it's everyone's,
But it's the same as
We're
the
trying to
Althoff.
speak from the
Yes, it's the
committee.
Althoff agreement.
It's the Althoff agreement.
With, no, not exactly.
Oh, it's not.
It does include the additional portions of section, in 3, subsections 2 and 3, kicking, facially striking, hitting, or prodding by means of a sharp or electrified instrument, or general beating of animals, or subsection 3, the use of drugs, stimulants, or external body irritants to excite or energize animal behavior in event activities. That's additionally added in the Sager amendment, okay?
I want that removed as well.
You want that removed as well?
But you have to
Yeah.
note that at our ordinance
Okay.
meeting, the Farm Bureau asked for that to be.
They did
put
ask
in
for
there.
that.
That's,
The Farm
all
Bureau
right,
asked
we
for
are out of order right
that. Oh,
now.
sorry.
We can have a discussion on the motion.
We-
Would you like to withdraw your motion to amend?
I would like to not vote on this at all right now because I feel that we need to speak with our staff to understand what.
There's a motion on the table. You've motioned to amend the motion. You may withdraw your motion. There is a second.
But we didn't even have a conversation, like we just jumped to making motions.
We've had 2.5
Been
hours
talking
of
for
conversation.
So, since I made the motion, Robert's rules, we have to have a discussion on the motion, which I know you said we had a long discussion, but I think there's some clarification. And the Farm Bureau is the one that added that. The state's attorney just said it would make it a little bit more difficult to prosecute.
Robert's Rules of Order, correct me if I'm wrong, allows a sub-motion of an amendment to take precedence over the main motion. She has, right?
Correct, you'd be discussing the proposed amendment to the main motion.
Thank goodness you're here. I'm basically I think I'm on the right, because if I'm wrong, they're gonna say something.
Okay.
So I empower you to tell me if I do something wrong. We still have a motion and a second
And a third.
to amend the initial motion. And your current amendment to the main motion is to remove exemption C, annual events held in conjunction with McHenry County Fair and Harvard Milk Days. We have a second, that is live.
So the discussion is being held now on the second.
Yes, we may have discussion on this sub-amendment.
So I would like to make it clear that this is one of the things that the Farm Bureau asked to be included.
They asked for this exemption?
They asked for the SOGR.
At our ordinance meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Specifically about the exemption for those
For the
two.
fair, so their concern, is my understanding, and we heard at the meeting, is that they want no slippery slope as it relates to animal husbandry at those events. And because of animals running at large, possibly getting loose at the fair, someone grabbing a tail, that's not considered tailing, so
But
they
that's not
want those-
considered entertainment though.
Pardon me?
That's not entertainment in that situation.
But they have a fear that it will filter down.
But it is
to them.
the fair is entertainment and milk days is entertainment.
No, but trying to catch an animal that needs to be under control, that act
That's a
in
good
itself
husbandry
is
practice.
not entertainment in that specific situation. That falls under the husbandry part.
That's true.
Right.
But there
This-
could be an activity where, I mean, if we're taking the tailing definition as it stands, great. But there could be an activity where they want to get a cow into a chute, where they grab its tail and wrap it around. Okay, it's not being wrapped around a leg by somebody on horseback, which is tailing, but there could be some activities at the fairgrounds that are in normal animal husbandry, but occur as them trying to do something with a steer that weighs, 2,000 pounds, and they're a human. So
Still husbandry.
But couldn't they be doing that at a rodeo too, where there's tailing, that they have to control the animals? So
Tailing.
kind of like-
We specifically said that there's
Right, one at a
cruelty
time.
towards the animal for the purposes of entertainment. That's what
From the
we're
back of
trying
a
to
horse.
address.
Right.
That's
Yes,
galloping.
remember kids.
At 25 miles an hour or whatever that was.
Right.
I'm gonna make whatever motion I need to right now to remove all the motions and amendments and whatever right now, so that I can ask Mary Ellen what her recommendation is. Is that okay? Can I remove all the
You don't have to
things?
remove it, you can
can't
just
re-
ask her.
yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if I needed to
Just ask
remove the
her,
things.
just ask her.
Director Howell,
Why
has a
are we
question
saying
for you.
no?
No pressure.
I was
can't do
going to recommend, I am supportive of the Althoff amendment, as the Althoff amendment reads. I do have concerns with adding some of the other language. I, of course, would enforce whatever is determined by the county board. But I do have some concerns about those things. I think they're broad. Correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, but aren't some of those things in, or being recommended to be in the TUP? I say that right, TUP?
Yeah, I mean, not specifically worded like this, but similar worded.
I'm not quite sure how I would enforce the use of drugs or stimulants or internal body irritants to excite or energize an animal. I'm not sure how animal control would be able to enforce that. Anything that I'm enforcing, I'm always turning to a veterinarian to assist with that. So I would have to have a veterinarian to be able to help us enforce any of those things. I think in general, looking at the Humane Care Act, many of these things are already covered in there, as well as the exemption for good husbandry. I 100% understand the concerns of the Farm Bureau and our local farmers. I also understand that animals used in production or other working animals, there are some exemptions to the thing they have to do to get the animal either taken care of medically, moved from one place to another, and those are all part of good husbandry practice. I have said that I would be happy to sit down with the Farm Bureau and have them educate us on some things they're concerned about specifically that we would go into a production farm and look at.
Scott, question. If I withdraw my amendment for the Sagar and we just hypothetically move the Althoff amendment forward, that just puts it up for discussion. It still could be Sagar or Althoff at the county board level, correct?
That's correct. I would
Okay.
communicate to the county board
Just our
what your recommendation
recommendation.
is.
All right, then I withdraw my original
Your motion.
motion. That's the word.
All right.
And agree.
Member Gaffney is
Motion?
withdrawing her motion.
She can't do that.
She cannot.
Okay.
Motion
We have to do
Okay,
this
okay,
separately.
okay.
Thank you.
All right.
So if you'd like to withdraw your motion, and then she would withdraw her
Yes,
motion.
I would like to withdraw
Is that
my,
possible? In order?
Where's that block? Where's that?
Shaking his head no. That's a no.
You have to vote on it. And
Yes.
Make it a no to kill the motion.
I think typically without the sub-amendment, we could have withdrawn, she could have withdrawn her motion, correct?
We have a motion and a second.
Okay.
So what's the point?
So there is a motion on the table, and as it stands now, it is the Althoff Sagar amendment with a sub-amendment to remove exemption 3C, animal events held in conjunction with McHenry County Fair and Harvard Milk Days. That's what I heard a second, and then a third for, which is the thing in this case.
I think she added the second to her amendment, those two Sagar things to your amendment, correct?
It was timely, we were about to take. Now we're getting into particularities of, all right, so your amendment is to remove all of the Sagar components
Of my,
and to make it the Althoff amendment.
yes.
Okay, so there is a motion on the table with a sub-amendment motion that basically reads, the Board of Health, what we're asking a vote on is whether you would recommend to the county board the Althoff amendment. Is that fair? That's my understanding at this time.
Can you repeat that?
The motion before us all right now, the motion pending with the sub-amendment suffices the Althoff amendment, whether we are recommending the Althoff amendment to the county board. Pending the state's attorney's office.
oh my God, I'm so confused.
I'm gonna get sued.
If you withdraw the second and the motion, then you can just withdraw.
That's not, his opinion.
In a second, you gotta vote on it.
Yeah.
Just all vote no?
I need a donut.
No, everybody wait.
See what they say.
Can we move?
We can walk.
Yeah, because once
State's
someone
attorney's
makes a
office,
motion,
you have
if
any
no one makes a
pending?
motion, then it's dead.
then we can
That's
vote
all.
And then we
Once
go
you make
back
a
to
motion-
Do you have any pending insight for us?
Well, I didn't want that.
Okay. That's the motion on the table.
No, I'm just saying in general.
We were discussing about, we have an amendment to the motion. If you are looking to withdraw that amendment, and whoever seconded withdraw their second, it can take it off the table.
Great,
Or we just vote on it, and if it's a nay
Yeah,
in majority, then it kills the motion.
I do that, but you go through that exercise, because really,
Yes.
what you would like is the LTOF amendment.
you're in effect, we would be voting on the Altough amendment by itself. Is that sufficient for you, or do you want to go through
No, that is sufficient.
okay. I think we're good, right? Are we all good?
Okay.
We can
Yeah,
have
so
a
we're
vote?
voting on the Altough.
Okay, that's what you're voting on now.
Okay.
It'll be a roll call vote for all the members of the Board of Health.
Okay, we're gonna have any more
What?
discussion?
We're voting that that's our recommendation to the
Board of
County.
to the county board, yes. You can't make an ordinance, we're recommending to the county board that they adopt or
Just
this
recommend.
language into the public health ordinance. And this language is the Altough amendment on page 1. Clear? Clear as
Yes.
mud?
Yes.
All right. Let us do a roll call vote. Does it start with the amending mover? I think it does.
Yeah, he did say something, it's gotta be then. Starts out. with-
All right, we've had an amendment to the first motion. Who's the first person to vote on it? In a roll call vote, does it start with the first mover, or does it matter? Cool.
I still have issues.
Oh, good.
All right, let's go with the mover of the amendment then. And the second there, so that would be Dr. Katz and I believe, member Ortiz, right, were you next? You didn't second?
Oh, you should. I second with, before all of that, I thought just was being. Okay, so if I second.
You second
No,
her.
you're up.
Then my vote is an automatic yes, correct?
You don't have to
No.
vote yes as a second.
No.
Okay, then I'm okay with second.
No, someone already
Second,
seconded.
second.
Okay.
No.
All right,
It's your turn to warn you. when you first come
Do we know who the second was?
yes, Dr. Hafiz.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brittany. Is it clear to you? I want to make sure it's,
I was gonna ask,
Okay.
how do I?
so Dr. Katz first,
Stop it.
Dr. Hafiz second, then Party.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Dr. Katz?
Yes.
Dr. Harvis?
Yes.
Ms. Ortiz?
No.
Ms. Hollyfield?
No.
Ms. Carmen?
No.
Mr. Marcuson?
No.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Dr. Zerg?
No.
Ms. Gaffney?
Yes.
That is it.
Is it all, what's the total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, thank God we have an odd number. Sound like 5 to 4 to me, but.
Yeah, probably.
5 nays, 4 yes.
Okay, the vote, the vote does not pass. We do not make the recommendation to the county board.
Well,
On
only
that
for
one.
the
On
amendment,
that.
it goes back to the original motion of the Sager amendment.
Okay, now we have the main motion back on the table. The question before you now, board members, is whether you want to recommend to the county board the Altough-Sager amendment, which is page 2 in your packet. Does anybody have questions about what they're voting on?
It just to clarify, includes the exemptions for the fairgrounds
That's
and
that's
for
that's
the-
clear, that's the Altough-Sager amendment.
It's all in there.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the mover was
Me.
member Gaffney, and the second was member Lawson. Perfect.
All right. Ms. Gaffney?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Hollyfield?
No.
Dr. Harvis?
No.
Dr. Zerg?
No.
Mr. Marcuson?
No.
Ms. Carmen?
No.
Ms. Ortiz?
No.
And Dr. Katz?
No.
I heard a lot of nays on that one, I think.
Yeah, I think it was. That's okay.
So that motion fails as well.
Which doesn't prohibit them from voting on it at all.
Right, yeah.
Right, they vote tomorrow.
I don't know if we have to take any table or do anything else, I think it's done, that's
It's
it.
done.
All right,
So,
yeah,
good.
move on.
That completes item 9D for everyone who was tuning in for that particular thing, you're obviously welcome to stay with us. Please have 8 donuts on your forks, however you go. Let us have a brief recess, 5 minutes to use the restrooms, please, folks. I'm sorry for everyone who wants to get out of here. Thank you all. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks for being here.
Okay, are we good, Brittany? Okay, we are back in session from our recess. Moving on to item 6, Department and Division updates.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, you can.
Adamson.
Okay, we're gonna make this really quick.
Thank you.
Yes.
round.
So we're all working on budget. Basically, our plan is we meet with the county on August 3rd. We will have a finance committee, it looks like, on August 10th. Then it will come to the Board of Health on the 17th. And it then hits the county at the Public Health and Community Services on 8/27. That's where we have a lot of deep dialogue with the committee. And then from there, we'll see what happens. Right now, we've been asked to do a maintenance budget, but we are in deep discussions about what that is going to look like, because we are expecting cuts. Insurance, as an example, health insurance is expected to increase. So there'll be more to come. County is hosting a budget workshop in August?
September or October, they still to be determined.
Okay, so more to come on that. And then you'll notice in the board packet, there is an opioid overdose surveillance report. So check that out. Overdoses are down for 2025 compared to 2024 for all indicators, and they are continuing a downward trend. So if you have any questions about that, you can reach out, and either probably Ryan and one of his team will answer those questions. So I'll leave it there.
Ruby, any questions? I'll be like laser eyes on you. Should be Director No.
Yes, I have nothing to add beyond the items I have on the agenda.
Awesome. Director Howell?
I'm tired and I don't have anything to add.
Should be Director, well, technically time and grade, it's Marin, right? But time and department, Director Marin.
Okay. Really quick, just a reminder, tomorrow is the Public Health Hero Ceremony. It is taking place at the McHenry County Conservation District at 5 p.m. I know an email was sent out to everyone, so we have that already, and that's all I have.
I'll be there. Who's gonna be there with me? Yay!
I can't, I'm very sad that I can't be there.
I can't be there either.
Director Hack?
I just have one update. The show rate for WIC last year at this time was 80%, and now they're sitting at 91%.
Wow! Nice. Does it? I love it. Director DeRate.
Hi. I will highlight that the mobile clinic will be mobilizing for immunization services on the 29th, which is next week, at the Salvation Army in Crystal Lake. And I would like to share that the Wise Women program has a pending amendment, which I will present to you next month for additional dollars. They've reached 54 out of 58 for their caseload, and that grant period doesn't end until the end of September. So we've already basically met our full caseload, and they are giving us additional grant dollars, which is great news. They've done a tremendous job with the program. Thank you.
Wonderful to hear. Any questions?
Oh, good.
Thank you all for your reports. Moving on to item 7, the consent agenda. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Just
Dr. Tomaso. do you have an update?
Yeah, just want to let you know that a lot of the community clinics are screening for Ebola, so that if, basically it's have you traveled and do you have these symptoms, and that they're taking precautions. And then also, there's a lot of hysteria about the cyclosporia, is that what it's called? So a lot of people are worried that it's transmitting from people to people, but it's not exactly transmitted from people to people. Like the most common type of infectious diarrhea is viral. That's very transmittable, and that still is the case. That's probably the most common part. But this particular parasitic infection is transmitted from food. So we're encouraging people to use very diligent hand washing when preparing food, and that if they choose to avoid the greens, berries, beans for until it's all clear.
That's why I bring donuts.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Once you get the jelly,
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
See, long game.
Yeah.
Well, in case someone doesn't wash their hands at the Country Donuts.
Stop.
Oh, yeah.
Any more to add?
And, no, I'm gonna.
No, hold it there. Okay, any questions?
Hold a good note.
Hold it if you can. How's it feel giving a report with an infectious disease doctor
I
sitting right
feel like I'm a
next to you?
medical student, actually, yeah.
Your tutor's like.
It's like you just talk really fast, the key is to just
Yeah.
talk really fast,
Yeah.
so that, yeah.
He's got a donut in his mouth.
Perfect. All right, on to item 7, the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second it.
Oh my gosh, there's a second. It's a financial thing. Let's do a roll call vote.
Just want to clarify who's the mover?
The mover is
And,
Cindy Gaffney.
Ms. Clark.
Sarah.
Sorry, Holyfield,
Holyfield.
Old Habits,
So Holyfield, Hollifield.
Hollyfield.
Hollyfield.
Okay, thank you.
Fire when ready.
Ms. Gaffney?
Yes.
Ms. Holyfield?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
yes.
Dr. Huppis?
Yes.
Ms. Ortiz?
Yes.
Dr. Katz?
Yes.
Dr. Zurich?
Yes.
Mr. Markison?
Yes.
And Ms. Carmen?
Yes.
All right, the motion is, the consent agenda was approved. Motion passed. On to item 8, contracts and agreements new. Holy moly. 8A. Can we consolidate any of these into, no, that's probably not a good idea, Kyle. 8A, Crystal Lake Food Pantry MOU.
Do you need me to go through each one of them with you?
I maybe don't.
There, the
Are the-
MOUs that are before you are for immunization clinics prior to the entity then going to their own attorneys to verify the contractual language, and then we come back and then we present, just so you know that we go through a process of ensuring that there's some legal oversight to the language that I'm presenting.
Okay, let us ask a general question then. Is there anything, while you have the floor, any of those that are different in your mind, anything that stands out, anything that's concerning?
Financially impacted.
Yeah, financially impacted? Do any of them have financial impact? They need a roll call vote.
No.
Everybody's had the packet, you've had an opportunity to look at it. It's up to you. Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to approve the Crystal Lake Food Pantry MOU.
Can I make a motion to approve them all?
Dr. Zarek, can we make a motion to approve them all? You can do whatever you want, yeah. We're gonna make a, there's a motion on the, well, do you wanna, with, Dr. Zarek beat you there. All right, you withdrew his motion. What was your motion?
I make a motion that we approve the MOUs for 8A through 8G.
Okay,
I'll second that.
there's a second. The question before you is whether to approve the new contracts. They are all MOUs, 8A through 8G. They read, 8A is the Crystal Lake Food Pantry, 8B, the Marengo Union Elementary Consolidated District 165, 8C, the Woodstock School District 200, 8D, McHenry School District 15, 8E, NAMI, McHenry County, 8F, McHenry County College, and 8G, Salvation Army Crystal Lake. That's the question before you. Does anybody have any comments, questions, discussion? Okay, I don't believe it is a monetary impact. So let us just do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion passes. All of them were approved. On to 9, new and unfinished business. We have 3 items remaining before us. 9A, officer appointment treasurer. Congratulations, Dr. Zurich, it was you. Would anybody like to make a motion to make him the real thing?
Please don't.
I'd entertain a motion to make Dr. Michael Zurich our treasurer and therefore de facto chair of the finance committee. I'm entertaining that motion. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'm kidding.
Oh, he's kidding.
Really have to know
I saw-
You want to do it or can you do it?
I saw Dr. Hoff's hand up. I'm gonna take that as I have a question or
It's
I
like
want
in an auction.
popcorn or what?
No, I moved to
Made a
appoint
motion.
treasurer.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, I heard your voice. I saw movement, but your voice. Again, it's not a financial, it's all about finances, but there's no financial impact. So let us just do a voice vote. All those in favor of confirming Dr. Michael Zurich as the treasurer of the Board of Health, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Boom, you are it.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Thank you for your service. I was also there once. On to 9B, reduce fees for veterans assistance organizations.
Oh, yeah.
So
This is something that also came to us from county board.
came to the ordinance committee.
Came to ordinance committee, yeah, was it fully fledged? Let's start with that. Would you like to talk on it? I know was it fully fledged, or do you want to have Scott communicate on it first? What would help, Cecilia?
Well, what happened at our meeting, at the ROP meeting, it was proposed about reducing fees. We were not presented any kind of information on how many events and what would the decrease of the cost of it all. So it was just discussed about having this as an idea. And then as of today, now we have, the more detailed information telling you how many veteran groups and how many events. One thing I'm not sure if I saw in the packet, because weren't we supposed to get a list of all the veteran groups that would be, was that in there?
It was not in there,
Okay.
and here's why. So, after that meeting, we spoke with Ms. Krieger was it after that meeting?
This is brought to us by Dina Krieger, who is a county board member.
Correct, and she was asking to reduce fees, or is asking for the Board of Health to consider reducing fees for veteran serving organizations. Patty looked at the obvious veteran organizations that we were aware of, but we acknowledged we might not know all of the veteran organizations. So we had some additional discussion, and similar to what we did with our food pantry, when we were asked to waive those fees, Patty put together what is in the packet as a staff response, proposing that we will continue, the inspections would remain the same, the application process would remain the same for temporary and seasonal events. However, they would pay an annual $50 permit fee. Patty reached out to the Veterans Assistance Commission, which is occupied here in county government on the first floor, because we did have some concerns about like how would we vet the veterans, if you will, veteran serving organizations. So they have agreed that they would do that for us and give us a list, and then Patty's staff would have that list, so we would know if somebody applies for a permit, whether or not that $50 permit fee, if you approve that, would apply.
And that's the seasonal permit or a one-time?
Temporary and seasonal food permits.
It's all permits within the year for one flat fee.
Yes, related to temporary food events. It would not be our fixed food establishments that are separate.
So fixed food would be like the VFW?
Correct, that's correct. Or American Legion or something like that. Those remain the
Do
same.
they get a discount on that, or is it just the food pantries?
Only the food pantries at this
all right,
point in time.
okay.
Right. So our feeling was if we could do this as a pilot program, one partnering with the Veterans Assistance Commission, who would be in a better position, I think, to identify, who would be eligible, that it would streamline the process. And then it could be evaluated over time to see if it's successful in meeting the goals of the program, and then it could be introduced into the ordinance if that's your pleasure.
A question, just on the data sheet that's here. Are we talking there's 2 permits?
No, so you have to, in 2023, yes, there were 1 temporary and 1 seasonal permit. Then in 2024, there were 6 temporary and 3 seasonal, and 4 fixed, but we're not. And then in 2025, there were only 2.
Right.
Right, so while fee-wise, in terms of that revenue, it's small, I think we had some initial concern that, and this has come up at both the ROP and it had come up when we had the conversation about the food pantries was that, and we had been asked by the county board member, what are other counties doing? So in Patty's research, right, we looked at other nonprofits because they don't have a categorical veterans category, I guess. They look at them as a not-for-profit. So if we were to apply that logic, it changes what the financial impact is if we were to waive those fees. And kind of back to the broader discussion of the pressure on the budget and what reducing fees might do to the overall budget. We had some concerns.
Right, so for the purposes of the proposed trial period, we're just looking at, 6 from the year before, 2 this year.
Correct. What we don't know, obviously, is will this have an impact on organizations hosting more events? We don't have a way of knowing. That's why we would track the information and report back.
And did any of the veterans organization request this, or is this straight from the county board? Like when they would say, hey, we're.
I don't recall.
It was not a request made directly to us.
Okay.
But I made an assumption that there were some discussions.
Okay.
Let me recognize Mr. Hartman. Do you have, as the messenger, would you like to advise us on your county board member's stance?
Well, my understanding that Board Member Krieger is taking the initiative to bring this forward. And in my conversations with her, she wants to narrowly focus it in on veterans organizations and has developed a definition as to what it would be because there was concern that with not-for-profits, would this expand? Her intent is to very narrowly focus it just to those and look at, so the public health fees, but also too, we have some administrative fees as well, like raffle licenses and so on and so forth that would also fall into this category.
But not within the health department.
Correct.
So this is.
Don't confuse us now.
Yeah, that has nothing
So we're
to do with this.
looking at losing $220 worth of revenue?
Yeah, it would really depend. Well, in 2024, it was $1,400, right?
I'm not seeing.
Oh, sorry, not for fixed foods. No, that was like $750.
So which ones of these columns here, which are gonna be knocked out by this, just the seasonal?
Seasonal,
Temp
temporary.
and
Temporary
seasonal.
and
Yeah.
seasonal temporary.
Seasonal and seasonal temp. So 2024, that was $345 plus $405, 50, so, $750.
That's correct.
Right, so it's really,
And then last year, this 2025 was $270.
I mean, I'm all for supporting the veterans and everything that they do. I just want to remind everybody that we do get hit with budget concerns, and I don't want them to think that we're, agreeing to this loss of revenue, no matter how insignificant it is to be interpreted as a sign that we can operate with less funds.
Yeah.
The discussion I've had, I think with Director Noem in the past and with others here, is that we charge organizations what it costs us to provide the service. We're not a for-profit entity, so if one entity doesn't have to pay, the other entities will have to pay to make up that difference. So this is a shifting of priorities, as it were. So that you're all.
Well, how do they make it up unless we charge them?
Right, we'd have to charge them more. And then again, this isn't, I think initially, Mr. Hartman, was this the plan to be not an ordinance, a public health ordinance change or a fee change at large, but we are proposing instead an administrative internal.
Correct. Yes,
program.
absolutely correct.
Yeah,
That's the right of it?
Yeah, that, based on discussions on how this could happen, that is, since you already had a similar situation with your food pantry, is that an appropriate application of kind of that same concept to the vets? And so it's changed. I talked to Board Member Krieger, and she's also understanding of that.
She's accepting of this.
we have sent this to her and we reviewed it with her and yes.
Okay.
Is there any potential for non-for-profit organizations that have leadership that are veterans to change their submission based on that?
So, do you want?
It gets to be a veterans organization, it can't be.
It's not
We've defined what the organization is.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they would have to meet those parameters, and to streamline the process, like I said, we're trying to work with BAC because they work with so many more. So there are probably more organizations out there, but we're hoping that they're going to do that for us and partner with us, so it's very streamlined and straightforward.
I have a question for Scott. So when you were saying, I know you said like this is just the food, but was the intention of the county board member to also reduce their, like if this is passed, they're gonna try to get all the fees reduced, like for the raffles and things like that, or is that what you were saying?
Yeah, that was the understanding, is that it would apply, except for liquor licenses. That would
Okay.
still remain intact, that would still be at the full cost.
Because those are through the state?
No, those are through the county.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
Being the devil's advocate, I don't know what the liquor licenses are and everything, but I run a not-for-profit, and when we do similar activities, the fees are so nominal compared to the amount of money that you raise. I don't know what the issue is that we have to address this. That's my, I mean, it's a goodwill, I get it, it's goodwill. But when we start going down that slippery slope, we've got other not-for-profits that are gonna want a discount as well.
But I think you've got veterans and non-for-profits, people who fought for our country who were injured compared to, I mean, not that any non-for-profit is.
Compared to what, Hungry Children?
Yeah,
Like
Hungry Children, but I
I
mean, it's
also want to
veterans.
support Hungry Children.
Right. I didn't go into the service. I'm not gonna expect to be in that category of a veteran, you know.
It's tough. I think everybody is trying to, they want to do.
I think the veterans are the veterans. I think it's a
Right.
separate entity of that.
But we're a small non-for-profit, I'm just using us for an example. When we do a car show, we raise $10,000. They're making much more money, so the percent of that we're giving them for $50, they don't have to pay $220, I don't get it.
Yeah, and I feel too, like, we do a lot for the veterans, like the drop-off box, I mean, that's a huge program that we do, that as a county, that we organize for the veterans. And if you're a veteran and you're disabled, I mean, you're not really paying any property taxes, I feel like, and her point too, how's it, if it's really hurting them, it doesn't appear to that to me. And I'm more concerned about other organizations asking it for as well. And then we're stuck again, and we were just told that by Director Adamson that, yeah, we might be losing money. Are we going to be like, hey, sure, just take this money away from us? It's small.
Well, that's why I separated the veterans. It's like, there's all non-for-profits, yes, starving children, there's all kinds of things, but the
Severe
veterans are
mental
the
health.
veterans, fought for our country.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't think, whatever organization's in front of us, you're gonna feel bad if you don't vote for it, because it's the veterans, it's the disabled kids, so, you can't, I feel like you kinda have to take that part out of it. because-
That's why I'm saying, they're in a different category.
I mean, I would be in favor of giving them a discount, some 10%, 15%, something like that, but to waive $220 for two, I mean, if we do that, then we should do the discount for anyone that buys that's a non-for-profit that buys a seasonal permit. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so that would encompass children, it would encompass food things, and we could give them that if they're providing community service to the McHenry County, maybe, I don't know.
That's why I separated them.
Yeah, Director, no.
I think that one of the advantages to doing it this way as a pilot program is to really be able to bring back that information to you over time. So, we could bring back, this is how much it is. In reality, it could be more, it could be less. And then we could answer, Ms. Gaffney's questions too about other nonprofits and questions over this period of time. And then when you're asked to make that decision, you'll actually have those real numbers in front of you to do so.
Are they getting, for permit clarification, if you're having an event in McHenry County, don't they have to have a township, like a Huntley permit, we have to get a Huntley permit when we do something in Huntley. Don't they have to do additional municipality permits as well?
They may, or they may have event permits, to participate in a festival or something like that. But really, ours is strictly related to the food portion of it under a temporary health permit, and our service to provide those.
And this is just for 2025, correct?
2026.
We're 20.
Oh, 2026, sorry.
Over this period of time, and I could bring back the information at any frequency that you would like, to consider.
I feel like, I was just wondering if that's enough time, like, as a pilot program, like in 6 months, are we going to have enough information?
I think you'll have good information because of the time of year particularly, because between now and the end of the year, it's pretty busy for us, temporary wise. But you could always then say you want more information and consider it further, right?
Okay.
So I'm gonna try and summarize here, right? It sounds like this is an action, a concern brought by a county board member. They're looking for us to reduce the fees on the veteran organizations. My concern was that this was gonna add additional administrative workflow to our staff because they're gonna have to determine who is and who isn't. But obviously, our staff has found an elegant solution for that using an organization inside the building, part of the county, who's already gonna be able to do that for us. This is a very nominal amount of money. It is a potential slippery slope. It has all those other components to it. This is not an ordinance change. It is an internal administrative change. And it is, we could even sunset it if you like. Would anyone like to make a motion on this topic?
Question, just a question. You have the ability to waive those anyway, correct?
Correct.
Well, then we don't even need,
No,
but you'd
but-
like some
but
direction.
Correct, and because we
It's a monetary
created a
issue.
similar process, we wanted to bring it back here because it did start as kind of a request under changing the fee ordinance. So this is our alternate proposal to ideally accomplish the same thing, but give us some time to collect the data that Patty was talking about and then report back.
And you just want rigor around it so that.
Right.
Is there a timeline? that
And
you
not
like?
add all the administrative work that would have likely happened if we had to figure out who's a 501c3 and.
Is there a timeline you would like?
I don't have a preference, I mean, because,
Open-ended?
well, I would just, because we're going into budget, I mean, this isn't gonna have huge budgetary implications, at least as it sits right now. So, new budget starts December 1, so I don't know, do you set it for a year or do you set it for, 6 months? Patty collects the data, we come back, before the end of the year?
We could do either of those
Yeah,
things, but I would say if you were to send an end limit to it, probably June of next year, because then you have almost that
Yeah,
full
a
year.
whole year
Gone
to-
through a cycle, and then you have time to make an adjustment, prior to the budget process.
So you probably got holiday fundraisers and stuff going.
Would anyone like,
Christmas
would
will
anyone
have
like
a
to
lot
make
of
a
things.
motion?
I'll make a motion.
What would you like your motion to be?
Well, that we do the, what did she call it?
Pilot program.
Pilot program for the veterans discount.
For how long?
Of $50 for, until June, do you want to do the end of June? June 30th? 2027? Sure. Does that sound good? Because there's 30 days in June, right? June 30th. Will that work for you for planning for the budget?
It would for me, yes.
There's a motion on the table
Yeah.
to direct our staff to conduct this pilot program that provides veteran assistance organizations with a yearly flat fee of $50 for the temporary food permits. It runs from, I guess, today until June 30th of 2027. Is that correct? Is that your motion?
Yes, that is my motion.
Is there a second?
I did.
Second.
There's a second from Member Gaffney. Does anybody have any further discussion?
What was the time period?
From now until June 30th, 2027.
So a
She
year.
can prepare.
Yeah.
for
A year
the
pilot.
changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, about.
Because it'll cover all the holidays, because I bet they do a lot of holiday stuff.
Okay, no questions? Okay. Member Ortiz? You look like you were on
Do I have
something.
questions?
Yeah, no, you're good, okay. It does have a monetary component, so let's do a roll.
Do we need to if it's under $5,000?
It's a monetary component, let's just do a roll call, and then I won't
How
feel
much?
bad about it.
If it's under $5,000, I don't.
Please do a roll call.
Yeah, okay. Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Gaffney?
Yes.
Dr. Katz?
Yes.
Mr. Markison?
Yes.
Dr. Zerg?
Yes.
Ms. Hollyfield?
Yes.
Ms. Ortiz?
Yes.
Ms. Carmen?
No.
Dr. Harpus?
Yes.
Done.
Motion passes. Staff, you know what you got. Pretty clear, thank you. Moving on to board issues, does that have any?
Oh, no, whoa.
Oh, you like that? I was gonna slide right by. All right, on
Slow
to
down.
9C, Articles 1 through 7, summary of changes. All right, I'm gonna have you guys, we'll take a recess. I will read to you for the next 12 hours.
No. I
we're
make a
not-
motion.
We're not doing that, yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the ordinance as amended. Summary of changes under 9C.
Can I
Article
second
7.
that one?
There's a second. Oh, that was quick.
1 through 7.
No, it wasn't.
There's a motion and a second to, I guess, approve the Articles 1 through 7 summary of changes or accept them. Because again, we don't.
Make a
County board,
recommendation
county
for
Right,
the
and just to
county
clarify,
board.
these are what has been, we've incorporated all the state's attorney and IDPH changes into Articles 1 through 7.
So
This does not include
The previous.
the previous discussion.
Discussion of 9C, or
Right.
9D.
So I'm just making a motion that we forward to the county board for approval.
Yes.
All right,
And thank all the directors for all their work.
everybody clear on that? It's massive, it certainly has a monetary component, so let's take a roll call vote.
Ms. Gaffney?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Carmen?
Yes.
Ms. Ortiz?
Yes.
Dr. Katz?
Yes.
Ms. Hollyfield?
Yes.
Mr. Markison?
Yes.
Dr. Harpus?
Yes.
And Dr. Zerg?
Yes.
Motion passes, and we recommend those articles, the summary of changes of the public health ordinance to the county board for approval. On to 10, board issues. Does that mean any board issues? Please.
This
Okay.
meeting's too long.
I'm trying. 11, information communications. You have your packet, you have your appendix, you have everything else. I don't believe there's any need for an executive session. Would anybody like to go into executive session? All right, I would like to thank the staff. You guys did tremendous work. Thank you so much for all your hard work and sitting here with us. Mr. Hartman as well, thank you so much for all of your time. It means so much. Would anybody like to adjourn me out of here?
I would like to make a motion to adjourn at 9:34.
Whose pen is
Is there a second?
I second it.
There's a second. It's not a monetary thing. How about a voice vote? All those in favor of getting out of here with adjournment, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, want to stay? All right. Meeting's adjourned, 9:34. Thank you, Brittany.
Do you have the card?
The card came around. The cards are here.
There.
There it is.
Oh, that's probably, that's really.
Oh, it's okay.
Do we have all the cards? I don't think it went all
What's
the
the
way.
other card?
I thought there was a card that came to us from Operation Dropbox, who did an incredible job, and they just wanted to say thank you. There's another card that's for Joe.
And then we've got another card for Joe.
Oh,